AM to 10:36 a.m. report regarding the finance personnel matter. May I have a motion to approve the council minutes for the June 22nd, 2026 meeting?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additions or subtractions?
So Jacqueline's name was misspelled in two spots. I corrected that. And then, the Dutch Wheelman, his last name was incorrect in one spot. I corrected that as well.
Great,
So just so you guys are aware.
thank you. Okay. Any others? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next, may I have a motion to approve the promotion of Quentin Reinford to the rank of sergeant effective July 26, 2026?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. What do you want to go about this? Is there anything now, or you want to approve it first? Okay, all right. Quentin, how long have you been with the force?
That would be 10 years on Thursday.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
This doesn't come up very often, so it's quite an honor to get promoted. We've been on the list for a little while now, and we want to thank you for your service to the community. Anyone else?
When you applied for it last year, I was really impressed by your interview, so thank you for that. It blew me out of the water. So that's fantastic.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Wow.
Sergeant Reinford brought his family with him this evening.
Nice.
Thanks for coming in. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to it. Yeah.
Dressed up, gotta make it work.
Visual proof.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations, we'll get a picture of everything. Is he in back? Yeah. We'll come out in front of the table. Yeah.
Okay, didn't know if we were. We're in line.
Thank you.
You want me to try?
Stand.
I have never fallen. Let's hope.
I have to do this way for Jess.
Are you okay?
That's right.
Yeah, the mic is big for Tyler and Danny. You want us to do?
Now's your chance.
You want us to skip? Just want us to scrunch. Okay, there's a trick to this. Pretend that we like each other. Toward Justin.
Or just.
Toward Justin.
Oh.
So,
Oh.
take a couple.
And then we'll have you guys hop in.
Yeah, why don't you guys come in then?
You guys wanna-
Come on, girls.
Yeah.
Back up there.
You know, for 20 years, they had me as a staff photographer. I'm still like pretty Karen.
So nice.
Alright, so I can, I can make.
Go apart. The goal
Let
is
me
just
have
to
Justin
forward.
go on the other side.
There.
Oh, that's like. Mine's working. One, two, all right.
Right. Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you again. Okey dokey.
They get ice cream now.
Thank you.
Oh, good, very nice. All right, next is resolution 713-2026-01 for record disposition. A motion. Move to approve.
Second.
Seconded. Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next, we're on citizens to be heard.
We have Bill scheduled.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
Bill scheduled, so we'll start with him first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening. I apologize for those behind me. My back.
Council may recall that in April, I attended your regular meeting to give you a brief update on the flood control efforts that the Columbia County Commissioners are working on in the west end of the town and Fernville area. So I'm back this evening. We've made considerable progress since that time. Just to refresh your memory briefly, there's two major components of the project. The first is mitigation work, and the second is the actual flood control. Mitigation has three components. One is lowering Route 11 to allow the water to cross Route 11, constructing a swale across the fairgrounds to Fishing Creek to allow the water to pass across the fairground parking lot, and then finally modifications to Fishing Creek, which include the island and some of the drainage ways on what would be the north side of the stream. So to update you, since I was here, the county has recontracted with Verdantis, the engineering firm. They're moving into final design and permitting for the mitigation phases. We have hired an appraiser, local KLT appraisal services for the appraisals that are necessary for the property acquisitions. We've initiated action on property acquisitions, the engineers have identified 16 properties in the town of Bloomsburg that are necessary. 4 of those are occupied. The other 12 of those are actually vacant and owned by the town of Bloomsburg. So we're here this evening to talk to you about that. The county commissioners passed the resolution to acquire those properties as being necessary for the project on June 18th. And I've been working with staff, informing them of the Uniform Acquisition Act, Uniform Relocation and Assistance in Real Property Acquisition, the URA, Uniform Relocation Act Handbook, the appraisal policies and location policies of the county that are applicable to the project because of the use of federal funds. So we're apprising council or staff of that information. And I'm here this evening to talk to you about those parcels, those 12 parcels that are owned by the town of Bloomsburg. They are vacant parcels. They are parcels, I believe, all of which came from a buyout program. You do have the right to have those appraised and sell those to the county based on that appraisal and the setting of fair market value. However, I'm requesting on behalf of the county that council consider donating those properties, waiving the appraisal and donating their properties to the project. It will save a significant amount of money for the project, and it is to benefit the west end of the town of Bloomsburg, which is approximately 350 properties plus or minus that'll be benefited by the project. So we are asking that council discuss and consider waiving the required appraisal and donating those 12 parcels to the project, to the county commissioners for utilization of the project. Ultimately, if once the project is constructed, whether that's donated or sold, once the project is constructed, those properties will be under the control of the flood authority. I do know from discussion with both the mayor and town manager that there's some concern relative to reusing that parking or using that area for parking. And I have made the engineering firm aware and the team is aware that that is an important point with the town, and that there is a commitment to the greatest extent possible to make that available. West Pine Avenue would probably serve as the access road rather than accessing from Route 11. We don't know all of those details because we haven't gotten the highway occupancy permit from the state yet. But the objective is to capitalize on the parking potential for the town of Bloomsburg. There was also a concern expressed by the mayor relative to the transfer of the property. If the town donates the property, the feeling is that we want to assure that the project is going to proceed rather than have you donate the property to the project and then for some reason not have it to proceed. My initial thought in that matter was that we would tie the transfer of property. If the town is willing to donate it, we would tie it back to the award of contract. However, that doesn't work because when you bid a public works project, if you don't control all of the real estate necessary. Contractors get very nervous because they're afraid they're gonna step on property you haven't controlled. So my suggestion is what we do is we tie it to the PennDOT highway occupancy permit. The highway occupancy permit is one of the most demanding permits to get through PennDOT. There is, of course, challenges with the changes to Route 11. So if something's gonna hold the project up, there's a very good chance it'll be the Route 11 PennDOT highway occupancy permit. So what I would be proposing is if council decides that they're willing to waive the appraisal and donate the properties, I would prepare with the assistance of the county solicitor and your legal counsel, a memorandum of understanding that identifies those components as two key components of the contribution. And that we would enter that into the ultimate deeds and documentation report. That's my report. It was fairly brief, so if you have questions or concerns, I invite you to ask them. Tyler Dombrowski is sitting in front of me, project manager from CEDACOG. If you have questions about anything on the project, he can certainly expand on that. Other than that, any questions?
How quickly will this occur?
We are actually right now preparing to do appraisal of the other 4 properties. And so I would expect that we will be acquiring properties before the end of the year or very early next year. Construction is anticipated to be 2027. I don't know if you can,
Yeah, good evening, Tyler Dombrowski with CEDACOG. Actually, quite a while ago, I was actually your community development block grant coordinator before Jamie, took over the position. But, as far as the construction of the mitigation efforts, we are, as Bill said, we're looking at 2027. It could go into 2028. One of the two of the biggest items that we have right now are just getting Verdantis, the engineering firm, retained and our appraiser retained. And so naturally, there's contracts that need to be negotiation back and forth with getting those executed. And we believe that this week those are going to be getting executed between the county and those respective parties. So both of those entities are going to be getting started on things shortly thereafter, but that has been a little bit of delay on the engineering side of things with getting Verdantis started. So there are variables naturally as we proceed. Permitting certainly being one of those things, as Bill talked about a couple minutes ago with PennDOT piece. Real estate can certainly be a big variable as well. And so that's why Bill's been proactive on the project team with having those conversations with the private property owners, having conversations with the town as far as acquisition of the 12 parcels, so we can get rid of one of those variables that's very important for keeping the project schedule moving. So 2027 and 2028, we're aiming for 27, but as we all know, you get into the back half of 27 and all of a sudden you're talking fair time, and it's a lot of logistics there, so it's not lost upon us. So we're gonna have to work through those details naturally, so we don't have a major issue.
When would you expect issuance of these PennDOT occupancy permits in that timeline?
I would say closer to when we're getting close to putting the project out to bid.
Okay.
So part of it, I understand as well, the town has its own project with the reconfiguration of the intersection there before McClure. So I'm not an engineer, but there's certainly going to need to be a lot of collaboration as far as the permitting with that is concerned. So how that all ties together, I would need Verdantis in the room to expand upon that. So.
And Bill, when do you see this agreement would be between the county and the town then for parking rights to those parcels, correct? Or who does it go to, the Flood Mitigation Authority?
My guess is that county will be transferring all the property to the flood mitigation authority. So what I think what should be done, and I would leave this in the hands of legal counsel, but my general sense is it ought to be actually a deed restriction, deed covenant. So that's whether it's transferred, that covenant goes with the deed.
Okay. You see any issues with that?
No, this is the first time I'm really hearing about these various parcels. The council certainly can transfer this property without consideration because you're involved with another municipality. I guess my concern would be the timing and what if the project doesn't happen or the
Mhm.
funding doesn't come through? Obviously, you don't want to give away the asset and not be able to get it back. I think you'd want to put a reverter clause in there or figure out what the timing is of when you would convey the property over to the.
Well, the timing would be the highway occupancy.
Yeah, I don't know, if highway occupancy permit is one issue, but. They could get the permit, but maybe not get the funding at that point in time. Maybe I would suggest maybe award of bids at that particular point in time. That way, if you're out getting bids and things like that, you probably got your financing and your grant package in place to do your work. So, but that's something that we could talk
The
through.
one concern I have about awarded bids, because that's where I initially went when the discussion came up, was to tie to awarded bids. The concern I have is that on publicly funded projects with federal funds, it's often an issue to not control all of the real estate before you advertise for bids.
You would have control over it. You would be able to bid it, I think, if you had a memorandum of understanding, because the town would be locked in at that point in time. I would be hesitant in conveying the property over to the county without having the funding put in place. That would be my reservation.
But rightly so, and as I suggested, I would work with the county solicitor and legal counsel to come up with the methodology that protects the town, if the town is willing to contribute property.
So if I can elaborate, so to do the two mitigation projects that are particularly the focus of, the property acquisitions we're talking about, the, Route 11 project has a budget of about $2.2 million. The swale project for the fairgrounds is about $1.4 million, and we don't, we don't truly know until the bids come in, because they can always be higher or lower naturally. The county does have $6.5 million in hand roughly to be advancing the flood mitigation efforts. They've applied for another $3 million to help with wrapping up the Hemlock Township project, which is our third of the final three mitigation projects, also happens to be the most expensive of the three. And so there's already funding in place to start doing preliminary engineering as far as the levee itself is concerned. So at this time, the funding really is already in place to be proceeding with things. The funding, as far as moving these two mitigation projects forward is really not, I would say, an issue or a major issue that we have with moving forward at this point. Really, it goes back to permitting, real estate acquisition, and just engineering itself, working through those processes. So that's where we're at right now. So I think we're a little bit past that roadblock.
So Tyler, and I understand like the figures are the figures and their estimates, but my understanding is that the entire project's over 40 million. So I think the concern from council is if it doesn't keep moving forward, I think that's where, Matt Trowski's weighing in that it shouldn't just be at the HOP permit, but maybe a little bit further down the road.
So the approach to flood mitigation with the whole comprehensive strategy, we have the three mitigation projects right now. So we're talking about two of them. So there is no levee project until we do these three mitigation projects. So if we're not willing to proceed with tackling these initial things, we're going to have a hard time really picking up any momentum at all. So we are, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, we do have funding in place to start doing preliminary design for the levee work, but we are establishing funding strategies as far as pursuit of the big ticket money to do the rest of the levee work. But if we can't get this initial momentum going, demonstrate that we have been able to do what we need to do to mitigate the identified 2.1 feet of induced flooding that would be resulting from this levee system if the mitigation work was not completed, we're going to be in the same position that we've been in for years. So
And the other,
given that these properties, we already really can't do anything with once they've been bought out.
that's correct.
So if we can secure our rights to continue the parking that we've been doing for that ability, it doesn't really change our scene either way. We're not collecting tax dollars on it.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And so I know it's not the levy system itself that everybody wants. There are, I would say, more secondary flood mitigation benefits for still doing these mitigation projects if it still takes a period of time before the levy system itself is constructed. So it, won't solve the 2011 and 2018 floods. But as far as helping to address more of your 10-year type of flood events, the improvements will have an impact as far as helping to reduce negative flood impacts.
How much was the third piece? You mentioned the amount for the first two, and then you know the next year.
The third one is about $3.1 million.
What's the total of the three?
About $6.5 million.
And that's not just the county has in cash.
Roughly, yes. It's not like, oh, we've got $6.5 million in cash to do these three. It's, well, we've got enough money to essentially do the first two components, and then we've got a portion of money to do the Hemlock portion, but we also have a part of that money also earmarked to start preliminary engineering for the levy. And so part of that rationale is that we have enough seed money to get the rest of the money that we need for the third mitigation project, but it also, if we are able to start doing initial design work for the levy system, that's a huge piece of the competitiveness of applying for the federal funding necessary to, get $20 and $25 million. The other piece, just going back to Lisa's concern, as far as, well, why don't you wait until you get some more bigger ticket money to do the levy before you do these mitigation projects? This $6.5 million of money we already have, that, like any grants, they have deadlines. And so we have, deadlines that, next year, next 2 years, that sort of thing. So we have to continue to be making progress with what we already have. And if we just kind of sit around and wait, hoping for the big ship to come in, we're going to lose what we already have. And again, we're going to be right back where we were before. So. Also, with regard to the real estate component, the acquisition under a federally funded project, acquisition and relocation costs are very hard to predict and can get expensive. So one of the things we're attempting to do with acquiring these 16 properties now as soon as we can is we're attempting to control some of those costs so we can nail down hard and fast numbers rather than budgets, which, yeah, it's a great point.
So, the parcels were relayed to you on June 4th, and my concern was, since you represent the county, are you able to represent the town in this matter?
Oh, I don't represent the county, and that's just judicial sales.
Judicial sales,
Yeah.
okay, so you're still able
Yeah,
to
okay.
provide guidance. The one thing that Christine Meeker brought up is with our past flood projects, they were easements to the existing town property. So can you guys explain why this one has to be relayed to the county versus an easement?
Well, the county is the lead agency on the project, and so the county is the recipient of grant funds, and the funds will be used by the county to do the acquisitions. So that's why it goes to the county. I don't, at this point, I guess, it could be transferred to the authority immediately. Those details haven't really been worked out, but I think that's gonna be a question between the county's legal counsel, authority's legal counsel, and probably town council.
So could it be an easement versus a relay or,
It could be,
okay,
and unless the nature of the funding that they're gonna get requires ownership. Again,
Yeah,
I don't
the
know.
amount of work that's going to be happening in that and the responsibility for the maintenance and operation of that. An easement is probably not an ideal option, but we can
Okay.
investigate that.
So the only other item I throw out to council is we've been working with the county to try to get the rates per parcel figured out. Like right now, the county is billing the town quarterly $44,000 a year. $11,000 quarterly, $44,000 a year. So there were discussions to try to get the flood mitigation authority to take on the billing and then potentially bill accordingly, however they see fit. I would like to see that take place. We've been talking about that for a couple months now, and that's my only concern, because eventually that would be a tax increase on the town residents. And I know, Bill, we relayed that in prior conversations.
Yes, I've been in conversations related to that. It's outside of my control of the authority.
Are there any other questions from council? Right, okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Conclusion, I would
Appreciate your time.
thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and we do ask you to consider the waiver of the appraisal process and the contribution of the property.
When are you looking for an answer on that? As soon
Uh,
as possible.
next meeting,
Okay,
possible.
all right,
Thank you.
great. Thank you. Jared.
Yeah, not here very often, so I got a couple of pranks from I don't see Brady here. I don't know if anybody has been wondering about this. The issue with the pond, the lagoon and the algae on there is in past meetings, has that been brought up at all to any effect?
Last time we spoke about that was last year.
yeah.
I can touch base with him. He was off today, so
Okay.
he wasn't able to attend to.
I talked with him about that. And he said it's a very slow process
Yeah,
in this hot weather.
yeah,
And he said the lack of rain has a lot to do with it
Right.
also.
So that was my understanding. First of all, it's not an algae, so it's
Yeah.
like its own plant.
Yeah.
And we lowered the overflow drain in it to try to get some water moving more to keep it, the water
Yeah.
moving. But with the dry weather,
right,
can't do anything about that, and we can only dump so much of the glyphosate in there
right.
at a time. So he dumps it in, it knocks it down for a day or two, but this stuff is tough to beat.
And possibly too much of it is would not be good for the fish.
You can't put too much. of it.
Right, right.
There's rules.
Lisa, I wanted to ask you quick, well, as far as I brought up previously at meetings about the curb cuts. And I have those ones that and I didn't go around and check, there was 5 there. Have some of them been done already?
No, I did receive your email over the weekend.
Okay.
I was gonna check with Brady and then respond. We have yet to put out Market Street for bidding.
Right,
The hope was to include those in the next bid, so, hopefully this fall we'll put that out to bid. But he's speaking of about 5 or 6 different locations that were missed in prior paving for the curb ramps.
okay, yeah, I just wanted an update.
Were there
because,
5 or 6 of them?
there must be 2 on at 8th and Jefferson that are like opposing, so 2 at West 8th and Jefferson, 1 at Columbia Avenue and Jefferson, Iron Pine, and East 7th and Catherine.
Okay,
That's where that pole is. But you had asked before if there was any others, because you thought, and I just remember while I was sitting here at 7th and Park. Because when Park Street was paved, if you're going down Park and you're on the sidewalk, you can't cross 7th because there's no curb cut on either side. So
okay,
there would be 2 there. So those are the only other ones I know of.
okay.
And I only encounter those when I'm going about my, and then, the only other item I had was actually in regards to the pool. I think I noticed this when I went last year and I went once this year, and I only cover these things when I actually see them happening. So, we had talked about this, and I don't know if there was any blueprints or if anybody knows. The magic number is 300. Since in 2010, the ADA made a thing that when a pool was redone, if it was more than 300 linear feet, which if you look at that pool, that does cover like where it has those notches, every one of those is, if it's 5 feet, that all counts. So the main pool, is there any documentation we had from anything that we did?
I mean, I
Nothing here.
got your text just this
Right.
afternoon. Yeah, I have to look into.
So, fine. The reason I bring that up is if it's more, the ADA governs it based on above or below 300 feet. If you have less than 300 feet, you're fine with having 1 accessible means of entry. The slope thing there qualifies for that. If it's more than 300 feet, which I think it is, you have to have 2. And the second one would be one of those lift things that goes out. Now I went down there and I cheated because I can stand up and, I held on to the thing and stuff, but it has to be that it's independent entry. You can't have like somebody throw you in the pool or whatever. So, this isn't like, so, again, I went down to the pool and I'm like, but there's no accessible, so, anyway, I just, it just came up the other day, because I went down there for the first time, and, you know, if it's more than 300, then it's right here, that you have to have two, so.
I'll check into it,
That's
let you
all.
know. When it was built, and designed, our, engineers at that time, aquatics facility, they based it off of a zero entry, and we even applied CDBG funds, so to say that it wasn't built per spec, I would definitely say that hopefully we did.
Yeah.
But I'll go back through and.
Well,
check that.
you know, it's just like the thing with the curve, like if they're paving, and, you know, hopefully going forward, we have an understanding of this, because I get it, it's, no matter how you look at it, and other towns do this too, it's nothing new, offend, you know, I live here, and other towns do it. As far as those curb cuts go, what if, like, say that the money, if the money wasn't there in the budget, do the curb cuts when the road was paved, then you should have done it. And that Kinney versus Jerusalem, you've dug into that yourself before, like, you have to do the curb cuts when the road is paved. And I don't want the town, cost the town any more money, but that, you know, and I'm working together to try to get it done, but.
Right.
You know, when Fritz was here and said, oh, well, nobody goes down that street, that was literally his excuse, like, whatever that was, Jefferson and Columbia, it's like, doesn't matter. You know, I went down it, so I don't know, it's just a shame that, you know, this was from years and even before him, that when the roads were paved. They were only supposed, since 1993, they were only supposed to be paved if everything was in budget and in place to have the curbs cut when the roads were done, so anyway.
I will bring up just the utilities, if they pave the roads, they are not obligated to touch the curb ramps. But
Right.
just so you're aware, we had a lot of paving happening up by the university, and we'll have paving at Market Street, so they will not be touching the curb ramps.
And that was if the utility companies
Correct.
were responsible for it,
Correct,
right, so then it would still fall on us.
they're exempt, so since we didn't touch it, council has no obligation to go in and repair it. Now, in future years, we can budget for that under CDBG or other
Right.
funding streams. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Yep. Sir? Nope, behind you. Nate, would you like to introduce yourself? Okay.
Everybody, I just wanted to take a moment to say hello. My name is Shamar Wheeler. I am the new managing director at Williamsburg Theater Ensemble. Just wanted to stop by and say hello, introduce myself, get to meet all of you, and just let you know how excited I am to be a part of the town.
All right, welcome.
And do you have a fundraiser coming up, correct? Are we partying in the street there?
Well, sorry, it's not a fundraiser, it's a kind event with Norwood.
Oh,
So on August
okay.
22nd, I think that's a Saturday, Center Street will be closed, we're having a little beer garden, so, they do the Led Zeppelin rock tribute band, mixing in some Lord of the Rings stuff, so. We thought we'd really play into that, do a little street fair.
Well,
Nice.
all right. Okay. Anyone else?
My name is Darrell Harper. I'm a town local native. I've been here for about 18 years, and I was told to come speak by Lisa Dooley to get proper approval, I guess, for the town. I wanted to do an edible pathway garden down at the town park gardens. I know because it is owned by the town that I guess it had to come through the approval process. I did talk with her about renting one of the plots. It's about 44 by 17, and I just wanted to put in an edible pathway there and kind of gate it off and just open it, you know, daily every once in a while just to let people come through. And I mean, I pretty much already have the funding taken care of, and I got a few volunteers and donations and stuff like that, so. I'm not exactly sure why she wanted me to come here, but I guess I had to come and speak.
You haven't met Lisa yet.
Yeah, I know in the past legal, and I don't think it was Matt Trowski, but in the past, our prior solicitor, Barry Lewis, had mentioned about having edible parks put us at a liability in case there's poison or something out there.
Yeah.
It is a liability, but we did not have this brought up to council. We've been exchanging emails in the past. And it sounds like there was a grant funding stream that you needed to put the town as a name. So it's very unique to have a private citizen apply for the town of Williamsburg. So that's why I invited him here this evening.
So tell us more about this edible pathway thing.
Well, honestly, it's just been something I really don't want to do for a long time. I'm an enthusiast when it comes to gardening. Like, I have 4 little girls, so I have a lot of different edible berries and stuff outside of my house, and it's just something that I've been wanting to do down there. You know, put different native down there, put some blackberries, raspberries, grapes, pawpaws, persimmon tree, like maybe a small persimmon tree if possible, kind of dwarf, but just, you know, something where people can come and kind of commune and just hang out and see things like that. And we want to put little plaques out there to show like companion planting, how to prepare certain things if you want to do something like that. We are very aware of like poisonous plants. Elderberry was on the list, but we took it out because it has to be processed in order for someone to eat it. So I don't want anything there. I want to make it so that a child like my youngest, who's 4, can walk through there and they can see what's there. They can learn about these plants. They can learn about vegetables and berries and things like that. So, and I'm partnering with the Bloomberg Seed Library actually, and they're going to help me with creating the plaques and getting all different herbs and all kinds of things there. Just kind of help teach people things about that. And if anything, give people a place to just hang out and enjoy it. So,
And this is at the community garden.
yeah, the community garden down by Park Place.
Yeah.
Yep,
Very cool.
It's fantastic. Fantastic. I just
Yes.
planted 3 pawpaw trees this year, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
As soon as I said something on Facebook, someone donated some pawpaws right away. We got some kiwi berries actually, and also I'm really excited to plant those. They're native here apparently, and I didn't know that, so.
So we need to follow you on Facebook.
Did you say
Absolutely.
blueberry?
Blueberries, yep, high bush and low bush blueberries. We want the crawling ones for the kids, some taller ones just to kind of shade things out and very nice. For the birds also, yeah.
The airport guys are gonna love you.
A lot of right in there for the birds, so it's gonna be a whole thing. We have a solar bath on there, a trellis and everything. I have an entire plan written up and it's coming to about 1,200 total, but it's looking like all the donations and everything coming in. The Bloomberg Seed Library is just gonna be able to keep that, so.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's actually like, seems like
Do you
a
need
good.
help here? Like,
Yes, absolutely.
anything?
Yeah, I did start on Facebook. I put a page out there. There's a community garden. Community Garden Project is the name of the group. And my name, Jarrell Marquez Harper on Facebook. You can find me and I'll add you to the group. But at the moment I have 10 volunteers. And yeah, everybody's like really excited to get going. And I kind of just put the brakes on it because I got a little worried. I was like, I don't have much to worry about.
All right.
So do you have a community plot already? Or are you looking for a waiver?
I do have a, well, yeah, I have a community
Okay.
plot. I actually already talked to Laura Davis.
Yep.
And when I
great.
came to her, I told her the same idea. She's like, absolutely, you can have this.
Okay.
one." So.
So did you submit payment? Cause if not,
No,
then
I-
I would ask
I did
council
not.
to waive it if it's open to the public.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, someone should probably make a motion.
Motion to waive the plot fee for this community garden. Seconds.
And what we could do is put it on the next council agenda. They did change PSAB, did put out that it does not have to be an emergency action as long as we post it. So if you're okay with that,
What do you mean, as long as you post for on the agenda?
the new agenda.
Yeah, you could put it on the agenda, 24 hours before the meeting, or it can actually, even if it's not on the agenda before the meeting, it can be added on at that particular meeting.
Good. So we'll do that.
So we're good now?
We are good.
We're good.
Yeah.
One plot? Just one plot? One plot?
It was one of the larger plots, but
Okay.
right in the middle of the.
So there's a few that are not.
Yes, yeah,
Very cool.
And it fans, let us know.
absolutely. It sounds like it's going to. There's a lot of people that want to build off of it, so
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes. We'll start with
Love
that
it.
first.
Wonderful.
All right, thank
Well,
you.
All right,
so
so
many,
we have a motion in
Yeah,
a
the
second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The
Thank
one,
you.
the one thing you're gonna have to do, since this was added to the agenda, you're gonna have to update the agenda and post it, I think, within 24 hours of the addition of this item, so it'll have to be on tomorrow.
Okay. Anyone else before we get into the hard stuff? Okay. Brandon.
Okay, so we're covering HARB applications this evening. We were unable to get a quorum for the HARB meeting, which was scheduled for this previous Wednesday. So we're gonna start with 42 East Fifth Street. So this property is the subject of a property maintenance enforcement case that was opened back in December of last year. Owner has contracted with Brian Tromley, who is here this evening to speak on behalf of the application. So I'm gonna pull up some photos. Brian's gonna speak and you'll deliberate.
How we doing? My name is Brian. I'm with Trombley Brothers Construction, and we are the contractor for Mr. Stein's property, 42 East Fifth Street. I want to start off by saying I think all of our goals align as far as the historical goes with what Mr. Stein wants to do and what we want to do as a contractor. So there's been some significant damage to the property due to failed roof for a couple different reasons. One being the gutter system. It's called a Philadelphia gutter, where the gutter actually goes through, penetrates through the roof of the porch. So in addressing the issues, I think the biggest change are two things, the gutter layout and also the roofing material. As you'll see here in a minute, there's some photos to kind of represent for after the damage and how bad it is. So there's the left corner. In this particular photo, it's kind of hard to see, but you can actually see sky through the porch roof, so it needs replaced.
Yeah, I have other photos that Brian shared as well. I'll just go ahead and thumb through these, Brian, if
Yeah,
that's
that's
okay.
perfect.
So here's a more updated photo,
Yeah.
temporary bracing.
So our goal is to repair and replace everything like kind. We've taken samples of all of the trim work, fancy dental work, and we've actually dropped it off at a mill. They're going to do, they're actually making knives to represent the trim work exactly. So it's not gonna be, you know, hobnobbed together. It's going to be, there you go, you can tell how bad it is. So that's the product that we're gonna use for the new roof. It's called EPDM. It's like a 50-year rubber roof that goes down. Although this is a rubber roof and what is there was a tin roof. From the looks of it, it's gonna look like downhole. You're not gonna know the difference. The biggest difference that you're gonna see is, like I said, is the gutters. We would like to wrap, there's some more photos of the front of the property. We would like to bring the gutters around the front. It's called K gutter instead of the Philadelphia gutter. It would wrap around the front and the sides and then come down the back. It would be very similar to what the property is right to the left of it as far as gutter systems go. It would be updated, basically construction to today's standard as opposed to that Philadelphia gutter. So the Philadelphia gutter example of it is that right side there. See where it penetrates through the actual soffit of the roof there. We want to get away from that, which causes, you know, more areas for water to penetrate through the porch roof.
All right, does anyone have any questions? It's been, thank you for taking on this project.
Yes.
Brandon, do you need anything else?
I don't, I think that the contractor's done a great job explaining it. Ultimately, we just need a motion and a vote.
Has Harb reviewed this? Because I think you had said that there was no quorum, correct?
There was no quorum. This has been discussed with the chairman. Really, the hangup was just the gutter. In essence, everything else with the project is like for like replacement. The gutter change is kind of the only thing that's going to change structurally for the exterior of the building.
The only thing that council can do according to the ordinance is to consider the recommendations of Harb on this. They haven't had a meeting, so they haven't made a recommendation on what this, on this proposal. So I'm not sure whether you're in a position to take action on it, or if you do want to take action on it, it would be subject to Harb approving, and coming up with the recommendations to approve this as presented.
Matt, can you make it whether they approve it or deny it? They could actually approve
I don't want to go that broad.
it. But it doesn't, right?
That's.
So anything that we decided tonight would be dependent upon, the direction of Harb. Doesn't it go
Correct. I
back
mean,
to
ultimately-
us blanketly accepting or pre-approving things anyway?
The ordinance says that a regular special meeting, town council shall consider Harb's written report. You don't have a written report based upon what, they're proposing. What you're taking action on is Harb's report.
We do have the
Their
45-day
recommendation.
timeline, I think is what kind of brought it to tonight's meeting is we do have a 45-day timeline to have the hard process from when they applied to have the written answer.
And if they don't have an answer, the approval?
I think that's in the ordinance, yes.
Yeah.
I think historically, I'm not entirely sure, Matt, but I think if Harb didn't have a quorum, it's really hard to schedule a hard meeting from last Wednesday before council, but aren't they a recommending body that council has full authority over Harb anyways?
The problem is there's no recommendation for council to act on tonight from Harb. That's what you don't have.
So do you feel if the motion is pending Harb's approval, we can get
You
these
could,
applications?
you could act on it. I think
Okay.
based upon, it'd have to be conditional based on Harb agreeing with this particular scope of work. So.
When's the 45-day clock right now?
So application was 6/4, so today we're coming up on it.
Are all of them about the same?
They're all different.
There's, yeah, the other ones are, more recent, but so 45 days from 6/4. Would be next Monday. Would be the 45 days, if I have that correct.
I'm trying to clock on out that way. If we can't really do anything, then
I was working Friday night to try to get some people appointed to HARP, so I spoke with Ed. Typically, appointments go through HARP first and then put on to council. The next council meeting, it was going to be a resignation from Brian Fisk and an appointment for Carrie Smith, the broker, to be on HARP. And then council will have a decision to put David Hill or Brandon Long on for HARB. If you guys wish to actually have that go back to HARB, our issue is we don't have enough to actually make a quorum. It's really hard when people have summer activities or, night obligations.
okay. Well, they'll have to fill
Runs
that
out
out.
and then they,
Just let their clock run out. Yeah.
the clock runs out and then they get to do the work.
Does that work for us, Matt?
I guess you don't have any choice because you don't have any recommendation to act on this evening.
Yeah, we've been having trouble getting a quorum, so we're working on it behind the scenes, to make the hard process.
So this isn't
work
like
better.
outrageously,
Yeah, the other applications are pretty black and white as well, so.
all right.
You guys wanna just not make a motion on the other two as well?
There's not a recommendation
nothing we
from
can
Mark,
do,
there's
we've
nothing for us to
honestly-
do,
Yeah.
so. Sorry to waste time, Fran.
Yeah.
I don't see it as time wasted.
Good. And there's no one here from this project, I see.
I was gonna speak on behalf of Vince's project. Chris was unable to come tonight, but in essence, they initially thought it was a superficial repair. Meeting, a meeting was had with Mark Prout, building code official from Barry Isett, Kyle Bauman, myself, Krista Melfi. At which point Mark identified the structural beams for the second floor balconies. Sorry, maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself. The background is 102 West Main Street, Market Square, the cat adoption place. I'm sure many of you have seen that there's been scaffolding there for a couple of weeks now. So the DeMelfis were already kind of working on doing a repair, at which point we notified them, hey, this is a Main Street property. Thus, it is a notable property per the historic district ordinance, and so I need you to go through the hard process. So Chris has done his due diligence, worked with Peter's consultants to have an engineer look at what's needed structurally, held off on the project. Ultimately, they're gonna make it look as it is currently. I have some photos that I will pull up here quickly just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. YouTube right now. So this is the balcony prior to them doing anything. You can see it started in the beginning stages of this repair. And then this photo is the other balcony, which is above the TD Jones Investments, 104 West Main Street. This is how it looked prior to this is original. And then this one was potentially not the most workmanlike job done at some point in the past to replicate this underside of the balcony. So yeah, basically they're looking to make it as it was. They just needed to get some structural things taken care of, and they're doing that. So for me, if I were able to approve this at the code enforcement office level, it would have already been done. But the ordinance does not provide for that for notable properties, anything notable, which there's only a handful of properties around town that are notable, but then anything on Main Street is notable. So anything that is notable has to go before HARB, per our current ordinance. So.
And same thing, they're up next week if we do not.
So their application actually has a slightly longer time frame, that came in on earlier this week. So they've got a little bit longer of a time frame. So, but
We're not stopping work on this, but
we are. We are. So, ultimately, I think, they were hoping to get an answer tonight. Chris was all prepared to show up at Wednesday and advocate for his application. However, again, due to our inability to gather a quorum, he was unable to do that. So, the date actually was a 7/6. So a week, so about 38 more days on the clock for that
yeah,
one.
but that's ridiculous. They've got scaffolding taken up Main Street.
Yeah,
Got just, they don't even have a floor on there. It's just like a railing dangling out over.
this is where we are at per our historic ordinance as it's written.
What's our other hand here, Matt?
Well, they're very early in the process. I don't know if they're gonna get a meeting scheduled or not. There's provisions that say if the building presents a clear and present danger to the public or has been rendered unfit, these provisions may be temporarily waived. I don't know if you're at that point.
Sounds dangerous.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah, I mean-
Fall down any minute.
Yeah, I think that threshold has been,
Go there, I was gonna go that way, I went across the.
I would say that threshold has been met, yes.
Can you walk around it and still be on the sidewalk, or would you have to step into the street?
No, there's still clearance on the sidewalk, but that doesn't mean that, I mean, I think in its current state, it's safer than it was.
Is there this much room to get
I was
around?
gonna say how much clearance
Yeah,
is
how
on
much
that sidewalk.
Yes, you could get by it.
Okay, because if there's one card left and it's called the disabled card, I pull it out, then, because the ADA, I guarantee you overrides anything that
Well,
happens.
I mean,
That's not necessarily,
If you want to go that route.
not 100% fair.
In
You
what
have to be able-
aspect?
You have to be able to do the work and complete the work. You're gonna do.
Whoa. One technicality at a time. We're trying to work on this technicality.
That's a good one.
I mean, I can reach out to the hard board and I can try and get, do I have that?
I don't even think we started the game right.
Can I get a special
We
meeting?
can try to get a special meeting before the next one, but there's gonna be some that expire unless you guys wanna have a special council meeting.
If there's ones that expire in the meantime, that's fine, but I don't wanna hold these guys up for
Yeah.
45 days.
The only other
They
thing,
can interact together.
We have to wait though, I believe that until the 45 days actually expires and then it's approved.
Unless you deem it an emergency.
Okay.
I mean, it's falling apart.
Yeah.
And it's on Main Street. We should,
What does that need to look like for us to say that we think that this needs to move forward due to the nature of the project?
It falls on somebody's head with a nail. So they get-
man, we don't want that.
yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any other photos, right now, but
No, that's okay. We've seen it. Yeah.
It's perfect.
Well, we'll make a motion that they can move forward because we see this as deem this an emergency situation. In the interest of getting this straightened up and get the scaffolding out.
Make a motion to continue on with repairs on 102 and 104 West Main Street due to the emergency conditions of them.
I'll second.
Precarious nature of the pieces hanging off.
There we go.
All right, moving second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, and then as soon as we could get some recommendations from Mark of that.
I'm on it, Mayor.
Well, I mean, look, I know we're in a tough spot because we've not been able to get consistent that all those spots filled for a while now. Especially that broker position is difficult.
We still need an architect, so we have an architect currently appointed, but after this year, he wishes to resign. He hasn't been, attending, so we've been checking around with our engineers. A lot of the architects that they recommend are out of the area. So I don't know if it's something where it comes back to council as a appointed position with pay. We might have to think about that.
Well, and Matt, can you refresh our memories again? Like, what is the holdup as to why we need to maintain this?
Maintain what?
The harbor. It was like the times we've said, well, let's scrap this. You said, well, we have to have it because of Either
used
the
to get-
historic district or.
Well, it's up to council. If you wish to eliminate your historic district, it's under your ordinance. Now, I don't know if that's maintaining it is tied to any funding or anything that the town
Hasn't
receives.
been on.
So,
It was when they did the grant program and the matching fund on the facade program back in the late eighties.
Right.
That was the original impetus for having the,
But some of the stuff, as far as a review, we could just write into our ordinance for the code review of, and identify these areas without having to necessarily have the historic architecture review board. It can be just done by the zoning or code review, board, right?
And now's a good time to do it while we're looking at.
Before we go
This is-
paying an architect.
well, it's volunteer.
Well, for now.
Now, yeah.
the problem with the composition of that board is it's set by state law.
Right.
And you can't deviate from that, but it also presents a problem being able to fill those positions because they're very unique qualifications that you have to have.
Right.
So, which is probably the result in your vacancies here, maybe. I don't know.
But if we're not getting money from the program for having a historical district necessarily, we could still call it our own historical district. Say we're not in the program and have our own sort of guidelines for properties in there, going through a slightly different process.
I would have to take a look at the state law a
Okay.
little closer to give you an answer on that. I've not delved into that at that level of eliminating the ordinance. The only thing I looked at it for was composition of the board, because that seemed to be where everybody wanted to go, was changing it, and the state law said, here's what you have to have, so.
Okay.
And with changing it, will certainly help. It took away the residency requirement for two. Two of the 7 members had to be within the Hart District, so that goes away in the new amended zoning ordinance.
Okay. Okay. Brandon, anything else?
That is all I had. 104 is essentially the same thing. It's the same building, just,
The motion was for the two of them.
Yep.
We did it for two.
yep, so that concludes the hard discussion for this evening. So thank you for, the time.
Thank you, Brandon.
Brian, thank you, sir.
You're up.
All right, you guys have a copy of the agenda. That's your. Probably somewhere right down there. It's in there.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. We're not gonna do that.
Sure, thank you.
Sure.
All
Thank
right,
you.
so if you wouldn't mind recessing the meeting and we'll call to order the final hearing for the 2026 CDBG.
I have a motion to adjourn to the CDBG hearing. Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So your consolidated plan and annual action plan for 2026 to 2030 is available for public comment until July 26th. For 2026, the town is receiving $205,662 of CDBG. Tonight, we're here to go over the projects that town has selected for that funding and get any public comments anybody has prior to the end of the comment period. So the projects that were selected for funding are East Pine Street parking lot, West Pine Street parking lot, and the Pine Street parking lot, each at $56,254, and then administration at $36,900. This is a continued reimbursement for the town for the parking lot projects. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Anything about the 26 to 30 con plan?
We have one more year of this on the parking lots, is that for next year?
2027, yeah,
Yep.
will be the final year of reimbursement on something.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, hearing that was a minute, we'll adjourn the hearing. And then my second item is your professional administrative services agreement with CEDACOG for 2026. So every year we come before you to present our agreement. The cost has remained the same, the $36,900. Same services, nothing is changing. If anything else, they just keep adding, not taking away. So happy to entertain any comments, questions, concerns, compliments, whatever you have, I'll pay them.
I love your hair.
Brave.
The supervisor is in the room, so.
It's yours. Anyway, if you would take action this evening to approve our professional administrative services agreement for 2026 CDBG, and if you do have any anything more we could be doing for you, any questions, happy to entertain those for us.
Have we already settled out, shaked out on the home program?
I have not heard anything from the second email I sent them when they asked for a response, and I already sent them first.
Right, that was from, like,
That was from the state, so it
Okay.
included HUD included in that,
right,
yeah.
but our conversation with CEDACOG with the offer that was made for, I think that's what we did bring up at one.
Correct, that offer from CEDACOG won't come to fruition until we get the final payback letter from the state, which we have yet to get.
Okay.
Yep, the only thing I would say that we learned from the home agreement is the fully indemnification clause. I don't know if you guys had that brought up from other municipalities, but I feel like if we are paying CEDACOG for the administration of it, that language should not be to fully indemnify them for the admin of it. So that's the only thing I would point out.
Let's speak to that.
No.
You still want all the responsibility, none of the accountability, huh?
Well, as you know, that's really been a conversation with Ms.
Yeah.
Wheeler, that we've been having those discussions. As far as the professional services agreement, it is the same language that it's been year after year, as well as the compensation. If there's concerns upon your legal review as far as how it's structured, we've worked with the town for many years. We value our relationship and happy to have a discussion further as far as how we work through any legal nuances.
Okay.
It is a different unit, so we had no prior issues with CDBG administering. So I did want to say that, but I will definitely say the same language was in the home contract, and I would just caution council. I don't know if you want to review that, or I would actually just like to take that fully out.
Well, but we need to have a conversation with CEDACOG about that before we're voting on it tonight, so we'll say, let's hear back. and
Okay.
We vote on it.
Is
You don't
that-
need that for your purpose
No,
of
you're
your.
fine. Yep.
your-
Okay, do your review questions and then you can take action when you're ready.
Yeah.
Make motion.
And are we in agreement on that, that like this doesn't really legal review, we need that form down?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
That's all.
Okay, you
need a
you
motion
adjourn,
to
did you adjourn that?
Since it's on.
Well, we
the
don't need to
agenda.
adjourn now, because that's just a regular item.
Okay, cool.
Make a motion to table the approval of.
Since it's on the agenda, there should be an action.
Okay. But we'll need to go back into our regular meeting, right? Okay, can I have a motion?
Yeah, you should have done that after my minute.
Yeah.
Well, we got sidetracked there, so I have a motion to return to our regular meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. Okay, there's a motion for approval of professional administrative service agreement with CEDACOG. It seems that majority of us would like to postpone that, so can I have a motion to table?
Motion to table. Second.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Safe travel.
Okay.
Okay, next is department reports. Okay,
Thanks. Would you guys state your name for the minutes? Thank you.
My name is Holly. This is Lily, McKenna, and Lydia. We're with the Sunrise Movement, which are an environmental advocacy youth group, youth organization, I should say. I grew up in this town, so I have really vested interest in seeing it flourish, as I know you guys all do. And I know that there's been a lot of talk about data center development in the area, particularly potentially near us. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of feel like they're closing in all around, and this is really sort of a long pattern of corporations using our natural resources in these parts of the country. Little consideration for what the community might experience. And for example, one of my friends and managers at work lives in Salem Township, right where they are building this data center. And I was talking to her about this today and I jotted down just a few of the things she's told me she's been experiencing as a direct result of this construction. She's been experiencing tons and tons of road work, digging up huge trenches, like 2 feet deep in the road right in front of her house, like 20 feet long, 2 feet deep. She can't get in or out of her house. If she hadn't parked further away, she would be unable to get to work. Development busted the sewer pipe in her neighborhood that has backwashed so much raw sewage into people's houses, because of people digging for this data center. So many walking paths that she used to enjoy her whole childhood living on this land have now been privatized because they've been purchased by Amazon and no one has access to these natural spaces anymore. The forests that she grew up in, climbing and hiking and fishing, are being razed to the ground. Pollution has made her personal well water unsafe to drink. The well water that her family has been drinking from for generations. I live off well water. I know many people in our area do because Williamsburg is a river town and we are very connected to and reliant on our, our beautiful northern Susquehanna tributaries and the Susquehanna itself. And these are all just things she's experiencing before the center should even be complete. Like, should the center be completed, there'll also be like obscene levels of noise pollution, more water pollution, more air pollution. They will be heating the natural fresh water and putting it straight back into the creeks, which will kill the local trout population and further decimate the entire ecosystem. And I'm sure you can see how this just makes life miserable and untenable for everyone in the community. Like, she has to park away from her house because her entire road is dug up 2 feet deep. She can't drink her own water. It's really tragic, and I just don't want to see that happen to the town that I love. And I know that there's a lot of discussion of, oh, it will bring money to the community. But I think that that's a little short-sighted because any jobs or money that these data centers bring don't last. Sure, like they supply some stuff while they're in development, while they're being built. As soon as it's completed, the entire thing will be automated. So it'll be destroying the lives of the people in the area, their comfort, their safety, their well-being, for the purpose of automation and turning money to a higher source that none of us will ever see. So I would strongly consider that all of you oppose data centers anywhere near our community at all costs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, as she said before, my name is Lydia. I'm not the most experienced with local law in this way, but I have seen other towns who have written legislation that ban AI data centers from being built at all in the town, just straight out. So I was wondering if there was any way that our town might be able to do something similar where we just automatically ban in our legislation no data centers and then nobody can even try.
The answer is no.
Right.
In Pennsylvania, you have to provide under your zoning ordinance for all lawful uses, whether you like them or not. And if you put an outright ban, it would be subject to your curative amendment challenge. And if the developer is successful in their curative amendment, they may get site-specific relief and get their project as proposed approved.
And I want to just too, because I appreciate what you guys are doing and I support your stand on things. To Mr. Trouse's point, this is what all these communities are doing right now, is we are amending our zoning to address these issues because we do have to address it. And right now, the way that our zoning is set up, for any use that comes in that we don't have a specific use for or spot for, it immediately gets thrown to our industrial areas, which you can look in our zoning map as to what they are, okay? And in that case, we say they're allowed by special exception, which means anybody that we're proposing something that we don't have on our books necessarily, would have to go through a process to even be entertained, okay? We also already have a noise ordinance, which some of you might be aware of because we just, argued that for a year and a half at the fair. So, from that standpoint, it would be covered. And then also, you know, to differentiate from what's going on in Salem Township, we do not have the acreage for those sites set, okay? So there would not be infrastructure things, no one in Bloomsburg is on a well. Because we're all municipal water and things like that, so while there were still plenty of people that, you know, have legitimate reasons to not want something like this in our community. The way that that would look, even if it did take place, would be a little bit different than some of those other places. But I appreciate, what you're coming here for, and, you know. We're all struggling with this. I've been to a lot of meetings for other townships and things because this is what we're doing right now. We're trying to set parameters. Because by Pennsylvania law, we have to have something addressing them. Are you doing the right thing by coming here and letting your voices be known? So.
Thank you very much. I'm just concerned because I don't want my electric bill to jump.
100%. That's a legitimate concern. Exactly.
I can't afford, you know, I don't want my electric to jump. That's really my main concern here. But
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
And your
Most
water.
places in other states, but I do appreciate the effort that you guys do.
You do know there's a meeting tomorrow night at Buckhorn Fire Hall.
There is, we'll be there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Right.
And again, this is a sort of an interesting one because this would be the first time that we've ever really encountered something like this. And it wouldn't be any different if we're another factory or something like that too, honestly, because we have a certain amount of infrastructure that's already here. There's a certain, you know, but those other areas where they're looking to put power lines through farming fields and things like that, like those are, you know, very legitimate concerns. So I appreciate you guys being out there and staying abreast of these issues. Every place is a little bit different.
If it was a different kind of factory that I felt was causing the same level of harm, I would be here speaking against that as well.
Rightfully so.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments? You're welcome to hang out. Thank you for your time. Okay. We'll get on to the department reports then. First is recycling. It's not here, neither is the airport. Chief McBride, fire.
The report for June is in the packet. Been a lot going on. Probably plan on opening up Wilma Center again tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, potentially Friday. It depends on the humidity level and heat index.
How was the turnout at the others?
We had about 25 each day.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it was kind of nice because there was a local organization that had no AC, their AC conked out on them. So they brought their folks over to the firehouse to get some relief and have their lunch and stuff like that. So it was good. We had a great response from the community for dropping off water and snacks for anybody that wanted them while they were there. So it's a benefit. I spoke to Chief Ballsteller up in Bethlehem. They opened up theirs. And like the first year, it's very hard. Our first year, we really didn't get many people at all. But the more you get it out there and the more comfortable people become coming into those places, it works. They didn't really see hardly anybody, but I imagine that they will eventually. It's just, like I said, we're just trying to right now, I put a message out to try to secure staff to be able to be there. And I think we're pretty good Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, might be able to be, but we'll do our best. I want to let you know our ladder truck is currently in New Holland. It's having some preventative maintenance work done to it, some warranty stuff, and that's projected to be packed the 24th. We are being covered by other municipalities, just like we would cover them if they were out of service. So, you guys have anything for me? Feel free to reach out. There's a lot of stuff going on. We're always down there. We had some more members on in the last two meetings, which is good. We had a contact. It was kind of coincidental to a model council person from West Piston. And we're going to try to get our fire departments together and bang our heads because they're kind of in a position where they could be benefiting from some of the stuff that we're doing. So, that's it.
You're still good on snacks and stuff?
We're okay. We might
Okay.
put a call out, but right now
Okay.
for the first day and a half, if nobody comes, we'll be okay for this round. We still have the second half of July and all of August to go yet.
Okay.
And the way that this bubble keeps moving around, we might end up into September with this heat. So.
All right.
And you have an upcoming event?
Yeah, there's on the 25th, there's a food truck event, I'm not sure about, maybe I have how many they have support, there's gonna be food trucks in the parking lot. Down the station. So, yeah, we wanted to get out to First Friday this last Friday, it just didn't work for us because of the days leading up to that, we were kind of busy. So, everybody come and start this.
Which that was a wonderful event. Thank you very much for
Yeah,
doing that.
I don't really look at it.
I got a lot of feedback up.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right, any other questions? Thank you. All right, ambulance. Chief Nash, grades on your public works. Brandon, what's going on with code enforcement?
Since the beginning, yeah, so, I mean, we have some long-standing cases, that, you know, were passed down from Mike Repfer when he left, they're in queue, I don't really have much of an update.
Okay, how are the interns working out?
They're doing well.
Good.
Yep, they're doing well.
On the code enforcement side of it. So. Who now required code issues? I used to call him Mike because he was the authority on the jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Who's our AHD?
So I think an email was sent out at night and you've been calling me, I think twice now. I called both you and Fosse at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm the lead and then they'll come out in the morning. If it requires Barry Izette, they'll come out as well.
Okay, so what I'm saying, the initial contact is going to be you and.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that the pathway is correct. That way I can.
Yep, that communication was sent when Mike was no longer here, so. Okay.
I had some stuff that was going on my spam, unfortunately, I have with my did
Yeah.
some weird stuff.
I'll keep answering.
Okey doke. Thank you, Lisa. All right, next is admin finance, express lane.
Sure. I don't know why.
Your name's on the list. Okay, item A is approval to hire Todd Leland and Chase Petro as part-time parking enforcement officers of the rate of $20 an hour.
I'll look for.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed. Thank you. Next is a discussion and direction on the next steps regarding the passport permit registration. At the admin finance meeting, we had a presentation from Passport concerning what abilities they have to work with us on. Starting with anyway, our downtown permitted lots. Hopefully moving to our residential permits as well. But they have a pretty good program. It all ties into what we're already using. It would amount to $1,000 a month fee. With the hope of cutting down some significant admin headaches that we've had with this. Attorney Turowski's expressed his frustration with our current system. I don't think he's unique.
What time did you stand in line today?
Fortunately, I didn't have to go down, someone else from our office did. I don't think it was as long as, well, she didn't have to go down, she was able to do it the prior week, so I don't think
Okay.
anybody had to go down today.
I think everybody was through by 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, so it's a quick, I mean,
That's not bad.
they're pretty efficient.
Yeah.
It's the drive that really gets people
Yes.
a little irritated and fired up about it.
I don't know. I think that Passport's been working out. I think it's a nice platform in Pango, certainly. They seem to be consolidating with other parking apps, so it becomes more useful the more places that are using it. Ultimately, this is a way that we're using technology to cut back on sort of redundant manual tasks.
Yes. So it seems like a great platform. I mean, I don't have any complaints from our parking enforcement side of things. They have not, you know. As far as like when they're downtown ticketing the zones, I mean, that part of Passport's working out really well, like Justin, the mayor said. As far as the passport permit section, it's hard to know until you actually get in, but Zach, the representative that was here the other day, or actually on Zoom, I mean, he was able to answer all the questions that we had for them. What it comes down to, like the $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year, is going to cover all of it, and then there is a little bit of a fee passed on to the actual user for the processing fee. The thing that we need to figure out is, well, obviously, if we go to residential too, and that would be, you know, we want to do, if we're going to go and do zones, we definitely want to do residential eventually. Like you do zones, get them used to it and advertisement and bring it all together at one point. With that being said, we would have to look at some type of LPR system because to have our parking enforcement go out with their device, like it's the cell phone, they're going out and you have to basically take a photo of the license plate and it would tell that. It would be too time consuming for them to go down the residential permit sections and take a photo of each car. Then it wouldn't really be useful at that point. So I have an email sent out looking for quotes for an LPR system that'll work with Passport. I haven't received any back yet. But once we get that up and running, I'd be able to give you a clearer picture as far as that goes. On how much that would cost. So that would be an additional fee. I just want you guys to be aware of that up front. I mean, I know Zach had touched on it during the admin meeting, but the one he presented, which would be great, it sounded like that was the Cadillac.
Well, the one that has the YouTube integration was $50,000.
Yeah. It was.
I'd be willing to bet, probably take a video with that same camera, do something with AI and it would pick it right out, and you'd have it.
Well, and that's the thing, there's the LPRs. There's cheaper versions.
Different API there.
It's just one, whether or not we can, be able to drive down the street. And if it's set up anything like our LPRs, it's really quick. And that would it would probably alert them, they'd stop, get out, issue the ticket. They would just have to punch the numbers in or.
Yeah, the whiz-bang system refilled the.
Yeah, everything pushed from the system, from their LPR to Passport system, and then it just printed your ticket. That is the Cadillac of system, but I understand it's $50,000. But
And they only last 4 to 5 years, so we were hearing it was about $10,000 a year.
yes, so I don't know if that would be. There's other systems out there we'll look at.
Around here, Karen, you'll find out.
But it says 5, we'll get 10, but so we'll see if we can get that get some quotes around so we can get a better picture of how much it'll actually cost. But the baseline is $12,000 and then it's gonna go up from there. But they did talk about some of the features that would allow a business downtown to do it. And Zach's more than willing to come in and meet with, well, probably via Zoom with all of council. If you guys have any questions or need an explanation, I just need to know if you're actually interested in it. You want me to push forward and get some more information? Do you want to scrap it knowing that it's going to be expensive? I just need some guidance on where you guys want to see it go.
I have a little concern about the cost of the new house in residential. I mean, I have a little concern that people might be, personally, it's gonna be a pretty boost up for me every year. So for the fees that are gonna be charged. And I don't quite understand what they were saying about the visitors pass. So those kind of things. So I'm a little concerned. I would like us to be very specific about that, like to figure out what that is.
I think if the town takes on more of the cost, then it would be lower for the consumer.
Possible, but then do we then we're not collecting that. So it's double-sided when you think about it that way. You know?
Yeah. So that's, with the $15 for the processing fee, that's what's pushed onto the consumer. But then, the other amounts the town picks up, I think is the way it's set up is if we raise up to 12,000, let's say to $15,000, it's going to lower the processing fee.
Okay.
But then that fee that the town's picking up is still passed on to the taxpayer ultimately.
Yeah.
To even get into the residential thing, I agree with Chief that you would have to have some type of LPR kind of discussion about it. And whether, I don't even know if they make handheld LPRs or whatever, but currently we'll talk about something on a car or some type of vehicle. So that will be a larger budget discussion than going through this, and certainly with the enforcement aspect, this would pay for itself.
Yeah.
And would get our feet solidly wet in how to better administer that, because the other thing that came up is we would have to adjust some of the ordinance possibly for handling things different, but with an eye towards the future.
Well, we're looking at the price of it. That's all I'm kind of. You're charging a $15 processing fee per person a bit. How much are we actually collecting in permit fee as compared to, do we have these numbers? How much we collect in our permits that we're selling
We do have those figures. I do not have them with me.
Okay.
I can show them to you.
to justify, $12,000 is a lot of money.
Mhm.
When we're getting it done now, we don't have to spend $12,000.
The way we're getting it done now, it costs health insurance.
It's true.
Are you looking for the number?
Yeah, so per the fee resolution, that is, you guys have the opportunity to do the fee resolution without the ordinance to set prices, so. The residential, if we look at that. $10 each for a maximum of 2. That is for the resident permit. And then guest permit is $20 at a maximum of 1. Temporary residential parking's $5, so that's kind of where we're at, and then. The zone parkings are anywhere from 150 to 210,
For 6 months.
correct? So the idea behind it, if council wanted to raise it to cover the costs, you could always increase that. I don't know how it would work because right now Passport collects all the money and then they basically net it to the town's account. So there would have to be that discussion to see if Passport is willing to budge on their numbers. Cause we're not in control of the receiving end.
Well, can you do a financial breakdown for Jim then,
Or what are you looking for?
for the amount of passes that we sell compared to what is, what our
Yeah,
cost outlay would be for the 12,000?
So at committee, zoning and residential was $106,000 annually.
Right.
I don't know if that's enough for council to consider investment. But that is our annual total, like that won't change unless you guys change the price. And it has been pretty consistent because we've been doing it year after year. So $106,000 is the combined revenue. If you want further.
10%, you're saying they're charging you 10%.
Yeah, if you want further breakdown, we can get Elise involved and get you that breakdown, but that's really the overall figure.
Okay, that's what I.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at like compliance, like parking tickets, we can get those numbers too, as far as compliance based.
And I think at this point, Fosse just needs some direction to see, is he looking into the LPRs or are we gonna bring back those quotes and then it's like a no-go? And that's the thing where we want it to be valuable time for Fosse, so.
Yeah, I just want to know what you want me to do. Two what? One. I would only do one. We put it one vehicle.
Sure.
And then, the parking car, that's what we have right now. And, one person would be assigned to, that car per day. They'd go out, they hit pretty much the entire town. Cause I would guess that it would probably work somewhat on zones too.
I mean, that would speed up their process.
It would speed up their process.
Would we not stand to make more as a town if we use the LPR that we currently have, parking as opposed to what it's otherwise being used for?
I don't know if it's compatible. Well, possibly, it might work. I don't know yet, though.
Yeah.
I have to look and see, I emailed Zach today to make sure what brands would actually work with Passport.
Okay,
Just waiting on an email back from him.
okay.
And then,
That would be sort of my deciding factors. If we could use the one that we have. I'm sure that it would generate, would pay for itself pretty fast.
Yeah.
And then maybe we could strike a deal where the reason wants to get a new one, to get a new one.
I was just gonna say ours is already probably 6 to 7 years old. Not to make that as a joke, but.
it's a little older.
Factor that if it's too old for the software to not.
Yeah, it is a little older. It's probably gonna be at least 6 years old. Cause I think it was, might have been around COVID purchase,
Okay,
2019 maybe, right? Maybe pre-COVID.
well, do we have any objection moving forward with this for the downtown zones, by the way? The idea of the boards, resident.
Yes. Yes.
But like for zones, right, it would be the $12,000
Right.
and
Yeah.
that would cover both.
Right.
So if we did it for, it would be hard to do it for one and not the other later on.
Right,
Okay,
but we're not saying go, we can't give you the green light on it.
right, no, absolutely.
So.
Okay.
I don't wanna send you down that hole and say, well, find it in the budget for next year. If you find it in the budget for next year, that'd be great, but
Yeah.
I think you've got other priorities too.
I can't find it in the budget.
Yeah.
Okay,
Grant,
Parking.
yeah,
parking. No.
I don't think we're too far off from a point in time where these self yards are gonna come down and we're probably just going to have them off holes in our parking lots and that's gonna solve the problem.
Ground, let the ground go by.
That too.
Which
Great
doesn't
news.
That's easy to play.
line is UFO road.
Okay, you need more direction on that?
No, we're good.
Okay. Item C then is recommendation to approve the June list of bills. Moved and seconded. Any questions or concerns? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item D is a recommendation to approve a quote for filling in a window in the amount of $36.95 and installing a fence in the amount of $26.40 at the Bloomfield Recycling Center. This will be contingent on the zoning hearing board approval at the July 23rd meeting.
I moved to approve.
Moved and seconded. Any questions?
This is
This- Yes.
So, going this route would have the unit be in the front. And also Public Works allowed additional spaces for parking in addition. So we're not quite sure when the end product is finished, if we would be able to do parallel parking in front of it. But we think we can keep 2 of the 4 spots through there.
Okay.
Charlie said get all 4.
Well,
Great.
we'll
Great.
keep hoping. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Okey-dokey.
If we thought that, we should have went to the side, but I'm glad we are here now.
Can we get a reminder of what the original quote was?
80,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's our website. We just wanted to show the savings.
And don't tell me you don't write a story on that. And now it's down to 6.
He didn't do it.
All right, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next is the recommendation to accept Cody Blas's resignation from the recycling department.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thanks, Betty, for that.
Yeah. Item M is a recommendation to approve advertising a part-time recycling worker.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or concerns? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item G is the recommendation to approve acceptance of Brandy Faust resignation as pool coordinator with the conclusion of the 2026 pool season, serving as their final season position.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded with great regret.
Yes.
Yes, and I think that there are some issues there we probably ought to discuss, with the new, whoever the new employee is, but. We can address that going forward. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item H is approval to hire a new pool coordinator for 2027 season.
I'll move to approve. Second.
Second. Council could set a pay rate to assist with advertisement and communication effort.
Currently, the rate is 18. Brandy, throughout the 2 years, she was able to get her core license for administering chemicals, and then this year she was able to get the training for lifeguarding, which was very beneficial. So
We compensated her for that.
we did not. We had the conversation, but we did not. But those were not, that's not why she's ending the season. But I will say she's recommending at least 2 people that are current guards. That maybe they have a full-time position and they're free in the summer. So that might work out going forward for the town.
You want to keep it at the same for the time being, or?
I think it would be valuable to keep it at the same and then see what credentials that person might have.
Good.
But it will help to actually advertise for it. So.
But if they're a head guard, let's say they're making an hour.
So we don't have head guards anymore. We have lifeguard 1 at 11, lifeguard 2 at 12, and then anyone that's an OIC gets a $4 pay increase. So anyone serving as a head guard is $16 versus 18. We stopped doing the head guards because there were times where we had 3 head guards working and the pool coordinator, so we eliminated that to help save on costs.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item I is approval of changing the job title from Director of Finance to Administrative Finance Coordinator and re-advertising. Council consent made to assess with advertisement as well.
I'll move to approve. Second.
Second, we discussed that the admin finance pay rate measure it with the other admin assistant.
There were conversations, but never a final direction. So I think there were a couple different rates discussed, from 20 ranging all the way up to 23.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm left with that range.
Just need a direction.
I would like to start at 20 if they're succeeding in 3 to 6 months. Not sure. I'll let that be great.
I would say if we did that with 90 days, so 3 months. Give that person, a quick move into the next, as long as it's.
You made the original motion. Are you okay with the 90 days? Or you said 3 to 6 months, so is it
90 days.
90 days? Okay, and then Karen, you second it?
I second it.
Okay.
Okay, we have motion and second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item J is approval of the Human Relations Commission policies.
Second.
Human seconded. Any questions? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next is Public Works, Mr. Garmin.
Approval of quote from WF Oliver and Son Incorporated purchase of a new lawnmower. The amount of $15,539.30 or $17,137.18. No, one additional quote will need to be obtained of council.
So we're just approving the higher rate then?
Never,
No.
never be the less.
The lower rate.
Yeah, the lesser of 3.
Okay.
Okay.
The third one possibly be lower than the 2.
So currently our mower needed new parts, and then when it was in service, the repair bill was over $6,000. So this is why it's before you and not a budget item. It wasn't really expected that our current mower would have broke. So we're looking to really replace a mower due to the cost.
So we're.
We're already in for
Maybe-
6 Gs on the repairs anyway.
Correct. And we didn't do it right now, so
Oh.
Brady's basically holding it to see if you
Okay.
guys are entertaining a new one for basically double or so the amount. We typically talk with Town Park Improvement Association. I can speak with Brian. They have a meeting tomorrow night, but it's up to council.
Worth a shot.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Well, we need approval of the committee amount regardless, so.
All right, so motion to approve the lesser of the 3 quotes.
I'll second.
We can second it, and we'll have a discussion with Town Park Improvement Association tomorrow.
We have a meeting tomorrow night.
Okay, all, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Thank you. Next is fire police and ambulance. Item A is approval to advertise an ordinance amending part 2 self-propelled devices.
Also to approve.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item B is approval of moving forward with advertising another civil service round with current language.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
So we've been talking to legal, trying to see where we fall out with civil service. Still waiting for some answers there. But I think we're at the point now where, we're still the 2 officers down with the possibility of another, leaving shortly. So that's for retirement, if nothing else.
Just say it's not a possibility, that's a.
Yeah, he's definitely done. So, we'd like to move forward and, start advertising now. We have the approval from civil service.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed? Thank you. Item C is approval of hiring 4 officers. Item I is approval of sponsoring 2 candidates through the Act 120 Academy. Approval of the rate of $20 an hour with healthcare starting on date 90 of appointment. And the other is approval of reimbursing 2 candidates for Act 120 that have finished the last 2 years. Finished in the last 2 years.
Yes, that would make them eligible for the reimbursement.
I'll make a motion to approve, just so we can discuss it.
I'll second.
Okay. What's our projected retirement over the next 2 years here?
You still have
Not only one
that,
leaving
it's
this year, but I think
one next year. Or is it two next year?
The document that was provided, it's one next year. But there's conversations that possibly two could go with the military buyback.
So-
And that just happened within the last week, so.
So I know that this is a little jarring for a time, but as we have seen, it is very difficult to get people pipeline, and our pipeline is longer than others.
And the reason for the two through the academy too, I mean, I think it's a good idea to sponsor people. I think it's gonna bring more up, possible cadets in. And like the mayor said, it's difficult to hire, and if we're bringing them all the way up through, I think it's more beneficial to the town.
They have to work 7 years.
Yeah, like we have a sample contract that I've been working on. It would be, I think it was sent to a couple, to get final approval. I'd have Matt look at it and we work something up to cover, both the applicant plus the town. They would become a town, employee once we decide. They have to go through all the civil service requirements prior to being selected. We still have to follow the guidelines. And then we would select that person and they would go, or two, hopefully, and then go through the academy. At that point, well, once they're selected, they would become a town employee, not necessarily a police department employee. They would just be a town employee until they actually graduated the academy, passed the exam, and did what was necessary. And the town would be.
Is that something we're going to have to address in the contract, in the union contract? Because are they just sort of in no man's
Are they
land?
non-union?
Yeah.
They would be.
Town employees.
They would be a town employee until they become until they graduate and get certified. So they couldn't fall under, I don't believe they couldn't fall under our contract.
To be in civil service, you have to be Act 120 certified, so they technically wouldn't be certified until finishing the academy.
Yeah, so when I was looking
So I
at
can see them classified in the town structure.
Full time, like through the police, but non-bargaining.
yeah, it would just, I titled it in here as just town employee.
Okay.
I don't know, I mean, that could be just something we need to work out with how we need to word it. National train.
I will just say, to fill in there, you can find it, 90 days for healthcare. I was trying to think of ways where we wouldn't be able to, go down that path, but they are going to be full-time in the academy and the whole purpose is hiring after. So I can't say that there's a way out of that. So our plan is 90 days after, for non-bargaining. For healthcare. If you're a police officer, you get it on day one, but in this case, they don't have their Act 120.
Would we be able to put something in there assuming that some of these folks who are gonna be academy might be of an age where they're still under, parents?
We don't have the language to say if you're under 26, you're not allowed to be on our plan if you have parents that have eligible healthcare.
If that's something we add.
I can check. I'm not sure. You always say you're not a labor attorney, but I don't think we can really.
Yeah.
Different,
The other question I have with this, did you discuss this whole concept with the labor attorney? Because is this like a bypass around the civil service process?
No, they still have to, it's still civil service.
Are they picked from the civil service list?
Yes.
Okay,
So the way we would advertise, since I'd like to have 4 officers hired, we would advertise for 2 positions of Act 120 sponsors, and then we would advertise for 2 positions of already certified Act 120 or in the academy, trying to come out so they could actually, start working and go kind of start their FTO program right away. Instead of everything's gonna be pushed down. Like if I were to ask, I want to send all 4 applicants to the academy in hopes that we can do that, right? Then that doesn't give me anybody to start filling the schedules.
Correct.
So this is just to kind of split it to the academy, maybe get 2 coming out of the academy or already Act 120 certified, get them out, get them training, get them used to Bloomsburg, get them ready to go.
Okay.
But then,
I hope this works out. I mean, since,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know what else we can do.
Well, we tried everything.
I know, we have the money, we have 2 officers approved for this budget that we didn't use, correct?
That is correct.
So the money, let's
Two
use
and
it,
two though?
let's use it, huh?
What's that?
Two and two now.
Yeah, 2 and 2. So if we can get the first one approved, we can talk about the other two.
So I found the list. We'll have a retirement this September. And then another retirement July of 2027, then 2 in 2029, 1 in February, 1 in October. And then it goes 2030, 2031, 2032, 2 of them, 2037, 2 of them. So it's pretty rapid.
But over the next 5 years, we typically hire, it seems to always been within 5 years. Everybody leaves, this is how it works. And we always try to play catch up. We never try to be proactive, we're reactive in hiring. So we've never taken the opportunity to get 2 or 3 people certified or hired at the same time, knowing that we have pending retirements. I think we just take this opportunity and move forward and just that'd probably be the most we've ever hired at one point. Is it necessary? Absolutely. These officers have been working short staff for nearly 2 years. I mean, we've struggled to maintain 15 officers and above for, it seems like a very long time. So when it comes down to it, it seems like most of the individuals that want to become police officers are going to the academy and being sponsored. Or they're finding somebody that's going to reimburse once they finish the academy. So they get the tuition reimbursement, which like the first one, after they go through the academy, the process is once they get certified, I could submit for reimbursement. And like we were talking about in the admin, you can submit to get 75% of the tuition reimbursed, and you can get 45% of the stipend that you would pay them. So the $20 an hour, which hopefully, but you can submit for, but you can't submit for that until the person completes the academy and successfully passes and becomes Act 120 certified and gets a MOPEC number.
And then having them staggered, having two fresh out of the academy, that gives your officers enough time to get them trained up, and then.
I think so.
Yeah.
So if we have 2 already certified and let's say we get those hired here in the next couple months, this process it's lengthy, and we've talked about that numerous times. So you would want to get the civil service process done and the backgrounds and all the necessary steps completed. I think I'd have to look again, but it's probably January. I think it's January to June, July, to where the academy runs. So if we started now, we could potentially get everything done and have them apply to the academy, get accepted, and send them through. So I think we're right in the good time frame to where we can get that process done, get two spots in the academy, and move forward and keep the department where it needs to be.
What's the time frame for?
Which part of it?
Extensions, what's the contract?
The contract, I would say no less than 4 and probably no more than 5. And I have it in the contract that I kind of wrote up here. I have it broken down with the percentages. Like if they stay past 24 months, they would owe, and they leave after that. It's if they leave within 24 months, they would have to repay 100% of cost paid by the town. Between 24 and 36 would be 75. 36 and 48 is 50%. I broke it down like that. Now there's other people or other agencies where the contracts are going to vary. They're going to be, you got to pay for all of it. That's really up to you as a council to decide whether you want to go all in and want it all repaid if they leave, but then, I think this works better only because do you really want to keep a disgruntled employee? You don't, you got to look at every avenue there.
Right.
Yeah, this presents them a way that if they don't like it here in 3 years, that they can go somewhere else and only have to pay back a portion of it.
If I may,
Decide that right now.
if I may, what's the cost ultimately to you want to go to the academy out of pocket?
The tuition it varies. There's different academies now which have different costs. I think the most expensive one is $8,500. That's for the academy cost. Now there's gonna be different variables in there that are gonna be, uniforms, books. There'd be some out-of-pocket expenses that would probably be needed. Finish. Roughly. Cheaper than your balloons.
Do we have to decide about the contract? The contract right now, or we're just doing this to move forward so that you can go through the minutia?
I think approving this, and that way I can get started on what's needed. And then we can work on the contract and get that, all the details ironed out.
Does anyone want to make a motion to approve both at the same time, or do you want to break them out?
Do it at the same time. Yeah, make a motion to approve both. Second.
Okay, then move to second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item T is approval to waive the fee for an event permit application by Columbia County for the rededication of the Soldier and Sailor Monument to be held 11/14. Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item E is a motion to approve the use of $6,000 on the police department's firearm transfer proceeds, which is optic for the department's current service firearm.
Second.
Second. Any questions?
How much are the options?
Well, that's,
already
kind
have-
of, what's that?
Yeah, we already have.
We don't have them on the rifles. And so these are, it says firearms, but it's really for the rifles. We would repurpose the money that we're getting from, the handguns. We would look for optics, kind of researching it right now to get the exact amount that it's gonna cost us. I don't have that for you right now, because the meeting came up quicker than I was ready for that section.
I think, Justin, the optics that we previously purchased were the guns that we're selling. Is that accurate? Do we ever have optics?
Yes, we have
Okay.
optics on the last firearms, and we have optics on our handguns right now that we carry. And this would be to replace the optics on the rifles that are, what's that?
Are they used every day?
The rifle?
Stuff.
Right, like, I mean,
They're used in case of emergency. We like to have updated equipment. It's,
fair enough, I just put the question.
I mean,
I don't see them doing this very often, the thing.
so yeah, so the optics would be replaced, some of the optics that we have, and they were from federal surplus, so they've worn out of cost over the years for the town. Some of their optics were replaced in a couple years ago through warranty, but they're we have batteries that are held in by tape. And I don't think we look for the safety of the officers and the public, so. So this would be.
Right. With the American Rescue Act too, yeah.
I don't
We're
know.
not still using. And one.
There's a couple there.
Alright.
I think
I think we have,
fire chief had like 3 or 4 that were renewed, not all of them.
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So it just made sense to have a meeting and.
Stupid, so.
Oh, no.
Or not every day.
Training.
Yeah. All right, any other? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed? Thank you. Parks and Rec.
Hey, that's me. Approval to receive interested nonprofit organizations to participate in one full day of parking operations and kind of fair. Parking fee shall remain $5 cash per vehicle, with network fees to be split 50/50 between the town and participating nonprofit organization. We also do need to discuss whether eligibility should be limited to nonprofit organizations located within the town of Bloomsburg, or expanded to include organizations outside of town's jurisdiction. Note the town will keep the first Friday and draw 8 nonprofits for Saturday through Saturday, and have 3 alternates selected in case a nonprofit cannot commit to the day given.
That's a good plan.
That's a lot of words.
Why do they charge more than one?
So moved.
Well, it sounds like we're gonna fill up pretty quick when the fair's still on its head.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you.
Oh, We're gonna be a lot busier than we were last year.
You're at 6, you're at 6 with the famous 5, or comes in, anybody drives in 6
It's
bucks,
cash.
or, I understand, yeah, but I'm saying is every car is $1.
Last year of your organization made over $1,000.
Right.
No, I mean, it's a great idea, and I'm all for it, I'm just saying, it's. You know,
Then we got
we're leaving money on the table for them and for us. Nobody cares about $6.
It's the extra change that we have to have. We had a huge issue with change last year, so it's gonna only continue to make it worse if we charge.
Well, let me say something, because I live this.
I know you do.
The key is that you don't give one fax to everyone. You have to be sophisticated enough to say, hey, you have it, they give you 10, you have an extra 1, they give you 1, give them 5 back. So
Okay.
it's just a little nuance, I'm just throwing it out there.
But it's a different nonprofit every single day, so that's where.
Do you know how ATMs work? You get 20s, you can't even get 10s out of them, so no.
Correct.
$6 is
Every
not
single
any
person was
sense.
at 20 or 10 last year.
Yeah.
And no one had 5 or worse.
Throwing it out there.
Understood.
These monitors are there, so.
Understood.
Never mind.
All right, it's been.
We're not-
All right, thank you. The motion, I think.
All right, we got
Second.
5. The other question though is, are we only asking for in town?
Oh, yeah.
So, is that what we did last year?
This is where I kind of stalled a little bit.
So last year, once we did it, I feel like I had a lot of contacts, like even the Children's Miracle Network contacted us. So it was very much like, oh, I want a part of, I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, and our seniors will be sponsored, so I can understand why that would be, I don't think we have to limit it to town. I think they should get first priority.
It's gonna be hard to,
Don't know what you're getting in,
Correct,
because
So,
I had to,
right.
I helped how many nights,
correct.
because they didn't know what they were getting in.
Yeah.
They didn't know they needed the personnel down there on what to do. You know what I mean, to handle them.
Make sure we have a training program like a day, a couple days. ahead.
Well, they need at least something saying this is what the expectation is, we need 5 people,
I think it's 6. They're minimum 6, 3 for each.
Yeah, they really,
It's tough.
No, I agree with you guys, if it's a different group doing it every time, they're not gonna be able to do the, hey, you got the one.
No.
Yeah, it really was, it's a nightmare managing this one.
Everybody's responsible for bringing their own things too, so
I agree now.
it was a mess. They were very lucky that I lived in it. So I would prefer to leave it in town with my.
I think we should limit it. Unless we are.
Unless we're hurting for volunteers, right?
Yeah.
I don't,
You don't foresee that, but.
correct. If we don't have enough, then perhaps we open it up. If we don't have, if, let's say, only 8 apply. And no one is an alternate, maybe we open it then.
think they should know from the get-go that they should have.
That was one of my
Yeah.
stipulations as well, they needed 6 at all times. Yeah.
so part of it is to put it out to social media or having MJ do a nice article for us, so. That would be something where if you guys wanna keep it to town limits, like we should know that before we go to advertise.
Yes.
Cause the last time we did it, Jacqueline drew from a hat.
What if in town limits is given like preferential, so it's open for everyone, and if you don't get the 6 or 8, whatever that you're looking for, then you have other applicants as well, but then they'll know that they at least don't have first preference.
We'll just need 2 hats. We're good with that. That could be an option.
I would leave it in town first and
Yeah.
address the problem if we have it, because just from what we've seen with
Announcing this-
Friday, there's all sorts of people from like way out of the area that are happy to go for just.
We can make an amendment to this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get out ahead of
That's okay.
the mad rush, cause last year we had a mad rush.
Yeah.
And
let's
we're
get
not
on.
as organized.
Get ahead, let's just do it. You're right. You're right. Let's do it.
Okay.
So
In town, $5.
So Garvin, you made the motion and Chris, you second.
Okay.
And Jim, are you saying in town only?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
we're good.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Great, the approval of replacement of the North Ski Rock Memorial Pool with floating play features, pricing for the proposed 48-inch floatables, excluding packaging and shipping is as follows. 1 lily pad log slicer or brown colored, 1 color round, 36 85, Flat top character, 48. Contour top character, 800. Feathering chain, $275.
Move to approve.
Have the chains, don't we?
We have the chains, however, the connection points could be different, so we could try it out in preparation of like the next season, right? To see if they fit. This was brought forward from Gretchen from the Friends of the Pool. We have been struggling with our log that's down there. We sent it back to the manufacturer, we got it back. And it still is faded and used because it's heavily used, right? So this was a request to say, hey, do you guys want a new feature at the pool?
What were they able to do to the log that they had?
They repainted it,
Oh.
but it costs more in shipping. We got it under warranty, so we're able to ship it back at their cost. But the shipping cost, I think at the time was over $2,000 because it's that heavy.
Wow.
So I don't think we want to ship it back. It's probably cheaper.
I mean, sitting in for you the sun all day, it's gonna fade.
Right, and anything that you put in the water is going to fade regardless of the quality.
Are we gonna discuss now, or do we need to approve and then
Yeah,
have
we
a
need to,
discussion?
we need to.
There's no motion.
Oh, please.
Motion to approve.
All right,
Second,
move to set, go ahead, Aaron.
Aaron.
Lay it on us.
I go to the pool every day.
Yes.
I've been talking to people who are there. Kids really miss some of these things. They love them. Parents miss them, grandparents miss them. There's actually been notably more like kind of kids acting up because we don't have that. Don't have that. That said, it would be, I think, really a good idea, since that kind of stuff happens with them, for us to save a little money and do the cheaper ones and maybe only do two. I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility, but at the very least, I'd say go with the cheaper ones, because if in 2+ years, we kind of ruined 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're pretty expensive.
they're expensive, and I kind of like having a little bit more room to move around and not have to worry about kids falling on them.
Correct. A lot of people have said that, but Justin pointed out, like the people that walk every day, if they could go in at the 12 o'clock, rather than being in there all the time, and maybe that would work. I don't know, that might be a facility.
Is this for this year or next year?
It's gonna be next year, like
Mhm.
the order on this would probably take 2 to 4 weeks, so we only have a month left of the pool.
They're probably not gonna need this.
Can we figure out like how much we're gonna make some sessions in and?
We certainly
towards that?
can. This was a request by Gretchen, so I didn't wanna say I'll delay it. So it's here before you. I don't have the totals yet. Like I mentioned at admin finance, I'll get that out along with parking totals and send it out to full council.
If it's for next year, if it's gonna be cheaper in 2 months, they have one negotiating.
Isn't there, it's just like,
Two or three months.
can we table it
Yeah.
after the season?
Yeah.
Or we can deny.
I mean, in the past, we talked about a rock climbing wall, like different features as well, so I didn't really know what council truly wanted.
Would you prefer to just have direction of like, hey, can you get us the details on 2 of the cheap ones? And we can approve it later since we're not gonna have them until next year.
I think it would help, especially for budget, like when we talk about budget and that's September, October, like we're a couple months away, so.
Okay, if you wanna amend it to that, then it's just further discussion towards.
You did it right.
Yeah,
Kristen?
like to amend my motion to hold on for further discussion after the season. And budget season.
Okay.
And perhaps information on what 2 of them would cost.
That should has cost, but.
Well, you have the
I thought you
cost.
said-
Yeah, well, right, well, if you just take out the approval, so we're not approving it,
Okay.
we're just,
Approving.
it's like basically making it a discussion rather. than
Then
approving.
approve it. Got it.
And we'll say, is everyone on board for the cheaper ones? Okay, you could get us what the shipping would be and some of the details
Okay.
on, 2 of the cheaper ones.
Yeah.
We'll explore those.
And Karen, you're okay with the?
Yes.
I mean, okay,
Yes, absolutely.
good. Right,
Okay. Thank you. Next is projects.
do you guys wanna vote on it?
Oh, okay, yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Those, thank you. Next is projects, Barrett.
Okay, approval of the layout on Market Street, proposing a 5-foot wide concrete buffer sidewalk around the monument with the planting area at the southern end. And approval with pedestrian access for the engineer. Final MS. Public surgery separate. Yeah, no, and the MS4 reporting under the current 2026 retainer and tracked as MS4 tasks for an estimated 40 to 50 hours. So we've already approved. Oh, sorry, we can't talk yet.
Motion to approve, but what am I motioning? Sorry.
The 5 foot wide.
The 5 foot wide.
Okay,
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and second.
we had already approved for that platform to be around the monument.
Yep, so we had Banesh basically do traffic counts and get that over to PennDOT, and now this is really truing up the design because they're now working on this as an active project. I know Jacqueline had brought up the concern about the stacking lanes because we're going from 3 to 2 on the eastern side. But it will hopefully slow down traffic through that area where we have a lot of foot traffic for the library and the post office. We've had insurance claim and still an insurance claim that's outstanding in that area. And it would also help put a barrier around the county's monument.
And make it easier to see the traffic.
Are they doing a lot of like repainting the lines and stuff like this for this?
So right now, I checked in with Crawford. They were supposed to be doing the paving of Market Street at the end of June. That didn't happen. They're waiting on scheduling feedback from Veolia. So I'm supposed to hear back from Danielle Crawford this week. They're supposed to put their paint for the current traffic pattern, but make it more of a water soluble and not like permanent. That way, when we go ahead and do this, we put in new paint lines. So yes, we'll have to erase the current ones.
Okay, because my only concern is like now the crosswalk, I use that crosswalk pretty much at least once a week and everyone stops in that crosswalk. So you can make it more out there.
Okay.
Yes, we can do a race stadium. But you know, everybody loves the traffic calm measures.
I just have questions about all of the no turn on red signs. To hopefully potentially help with some of the traffic, because I see a right turn only lane. But like not just that intersection, if we could like, instead of just no turn on red, like 24/7, if it could be like 6 to 6 or something
Yeah.
during heavy traffic hours, or like how at the beach during beach season, no turn on red, but like off season, you can turn on red because it really sucks sitting there in the middle of the night when there's no one else there and you can't make a right on red.
We can't change those. It's a state route.
That's PennDOT. Go ahead and petition PennDOT.
You can petition them to maybe change it up, but I don't.
Next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna see anything relatively soon.
Is that not all state routes? Cause I mean, me and her both grew up in Reading, and I think some of those roads that go through Reading have to be state routes. And many of the roads in Reading that are right turn, say no turn on red, 6 AM to 6 PM.
Yeah,
And
they
there's
could
not
have
a
had it.
chance that none of those are state routes. So, but it would be.
Well, I think there's a couple, like there's one down in Danville that
Yep.
says the same thing.
Yeah, it's on this
Oh,
way.
it's just, none of ours say that,
Right,
so the state would have to come in and,
but that Danville one is state route that
Mhm.
that hasn't, yeah, so.
It's not us, it's PennDOT.
Yeah.
PennDOT, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, cause as we all know, I brought it up, when you're sitting there, when you're sitting there, when you're sitting there and the light doesn't change.
All right, folks, let's talk about problems we can solve.
All right,
All right, any questions or concerns with the buffering? All in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed? Unanimous.
and then the MS4 reporting for the 2026 trainer for the MS4 track.
Moved and seconded, any questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Is Norman on? Did he make it? Okay. Next then is codes, with approval, starting a 30-day period of notifying the planning commission and county planning regarding the zoning amendments. The document was sent out on 7/10.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded.
I have just.
Well, Matt, this is the culmination of all the things we've been talking about.
The internal process, yeah, now if the council's satisfied with the product that's been generated to date, you have to send it to the planning commission and both planning commissions, county and your local planning commission for their comments. then you can conduct your public hearing.
But it still can be minorly amended
Yeah.
through these public comment sections.
It can be it can be amended at any time. If there's substantial amendments at or after the time of your hearing, then it has to go back to both of those bodies for review. So.
Give us that again, like, so.
But I'm concerned though, that this, just hold on, just 1 second. What I am concerned about though is if it's sent to the planning commission for review, I would not want to see any changes to the document once it's sent out to them for review, because they may have comments on any additional changes. So you've got to be pretty confident that the document that you want to send out for review is your final draft version.
The only thing I was gonna just respectfully say is, I know it's been a long time and I know people get tired and I've been involved in these things before. And so, you know, if you pass this with the understanding that I think you need to be on some stuff, because I definitely have some problems, some major problems that I think are reasonable. That you just don't, you know, that you could stay on it a little bit, you know, so you could do like a 2-track thing. You could say, okay, let's move this through. We got something going. But don't let it die that there are defects in here. And I mean, I can give you a handful of them, you know, right out of the gate that are going to be problematic for the town, and it's not gonna really. It's like they tried to make the pro-growth thing, and then there's some things that go against it, and it's just. I think it's lacking in multiple areas that would really be beneficial to the town. So I mean, I tried to do suggestion, I know Mike's no longer here, but Mike was sort of saying, Matt, you know, you have a lot of suggestions, but you know, only give a couple, so I didn't get all my suggestions really through, because, you know, Mike was sort of holding me back and say, you know, don't go for all these, and I thought they were good, reasonable, you know, suggestions. So that's sort of like the big picture thing, you know, especially like non-conforming, and there's a couple other things that I think are mistakes, like big mistakes.
To Matt's point, though, those would not be major overhauls if we were to go that, this is sort of addressing that Maryland kind of let us down.
Those would be amendments to your ordinance. You would have to follow the same process, but it would not be the same kind of wholesale adoption of an entire new ordinance. Those would be a particular small scale changes, I would think.
Right. But so the same process goes to the planning commission.
It has to follow the same track. The
Okay.
state municipalities planning code says the process that you have to follow.
So Matt, let me give you a question, tell me what's substantial or not, because I don't know this answer. So like, say you had, say a setback was, 20 feet and you changed it to 15 or 25, either direction. Is that substantial? Tell us what's substantial.
Substantial is a
Vague is
a vague loaded question, to be quite honest with you, because I would kind of err on the side of caution. I think when you go to this public hearing, you're gonna have probably more than one public hearing, depending upon what kind of changes council wants, if any, based upon those hearings. The more changes you make, the closer you're getting to substantial amendments. I haven't seen any cases that define with precision what's substantial. Why? Because it's a fact by fact, case by case situation. But I kind of always err on the fact that I don't want to get involved in procedural challenges to the ordinance. And if you're making changes, I kick it back to the body for review. What's another 30 days? Because this process has gone on forever. So.
Well, that being said, like I said, I had a lot of, I thought, pretty good comments in the spirit of the town, not like self-serving. That Mike sort of held back. That I think council could have seen or should have seen, and now it could be more of a streamlined thing. You know, I mean, let me just give you an example. What's in the ordinance right now, if the zoning officer follows it, if, say, I have a shoe store. And I give it to my son. I have to come in for a zoning permit. Nothing changed. They're all the same shoes. Nothing changed. That's insane. If you had,
Because what triggers, what you're leaving out is what triggers that is if you change the corporate entity. So you could, you know.
or the name or the owner.
Whatever.
Well, I don't know where that is.
It's in there. You have to get this, and I disagree with that.
I don't know where that's in there. It shouldn't be change of necessarily ownership. It should be change of use.
Exactly, and so one of my suggestions that didn't get through was if it's an IBC use category change, you gotta come for a permit. But if it's like retail to retail, I'm selling slippers, I'm selling shoes, you know, it's the same.
I wouldn't necessarily define it as IBC changes, because you're talking about a whole different ordinance, but it's
Right.
use or category of use. If it's retail and the same type of retail is happening there, and all you're changing is through succession planning, or you sell your business. I don't know that a new owner should be coming in for a permit, because nothing's changing
That's what it is right now.
other than the identity of the owner. Now, I don't know where that particular provision is.
show you, but
You would have to get me that
The
information.
other example is, if you look at like the old, where it's the 31-year-old or 35 years old, however it was. It said, you know, the ordinance is passed and the zoning officer will go around and identify all the non-conforming properties. Well, that never happened in the history of the world, right? So now, if you look at the non-conforming, and I brought this up multiple times. And Mike Reffer, nothing against Mike Reffer, but Mike Reffer, I said, the way this is, I need to present to you all my properties and any of the non-conforming that I believe there. And he's like, Matt, don't do that. So I don't think anyone did it, but it's the same situation right now. I think it's better to let sleeping dogs lie. And just like, unless it comes up that somebody needs to do something and you go back and say, hey, this is non-conforming, you deal with it then. The way it is right now, you're gonna set yourself up, and if I comply with this ordinance. We may have disputes, you may create disputes where there weren't any. It's a problem.
You wanna speak to that, Matt?
It's just some simple language, and I think I try to get something through out there, you know what I mean? If you.
Oh, I wasn't part of those discussions that you had with Mike. I wasn't even
No,
aware of
no,
those
that's-
kinds of discussions. But the non-conforming uses, no matter where you're at, they're always a problem, because what it comes down to is a matter of information and evidence. And in order for you to establish a non-conforming use, you've got to show historically through time what existed on the property. So it's usually a burden of proof kind of issue.
But here, I think it's calling out that we need to do that.
Well, but that's the way all the zoning ordinances are written. There's always in the ordinances a provision or duty on the zoning officer to go out and identify the non-conforming uses, which is,
Yeah,
you
that's-
say, never happens.
Right.
Nobody has the time to do that, or things like that. And there's always and the ordinance always says that the owner, you know, can register for their non-conforming uses. Nobody knows that that provision is out there in the ordinances unless you're involved.
It may or something, it
And,
was just a little. bit.
unless you're involved in this kind of work or development work or
Right.
things like that, or you're savvy to zoning ordinances. But
Right.
that's the way the process always is.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's a matter of documentation and records.
Yeah.
That you're trying to get that information into the municipal record. So if the ordinance changes over time, you got that background information to rely upon to say, no, I was doing this at that particular time. I've got my certificate of nonconformity. That's
I
the
know,
way
but I
the
think
process
way it
is
now,
supposed
it's
to
like
work.
You shall do it, I mean, it's prescriptive, instead of like, if it comes up to be an issue, then you bring, you know, say, hey, I'm changing this to this, and this is the way it was. The way it looks now, and I had some easy suggestions, just to tone it down a little bit, it's like, they may come in if we want a certificate on, but you don't have to.
I think at the point in time where you wanna bring those things up is at the public hearing, maybe.
But would that be substantial?
Right? It probably would be substantial. And the thing is now, if you go back to these things and add them to the, you know, you're adding back things in. I don't know whether council wants to do that now or consider them later, because if you wanna make those kinds of suggestions, that's gonna require a further amendment where they're not gonna be able to send it on to the planning commissions now.
Right.
So and I don't know the nature of those changes because I wasn't part of that discussion.
That's all I'm saying, I felt like a lot of my stuff that was good, you know, but I did spend a lot of time doing it, I know everyone else did. So it's either like, do we look at some of those ones that you never got to see? Or do we pass this thing through and then, you know, 6 months from now have more amendments and, or is council gonna be inclined to do that then?
And just the way this process started, it started with a very narrow focus.
And it got,
And it exploded, okay? It started with a narrow focus to cure certain of the issues. The main was the lack of a parking table. And then it went into somehow it got morphed into a whole resale rewrite of the ordinance, so.
so I'm just here heart to heart, just saying, I think I have good suggestions that you never got to see. I don't know.
Well, but it's some of this stuff is just nitpicky language that everybody has that.
I'd have to see the nature of the changes. I don't know what his proposed
Let me
changes
ask you
are.
this. So if in the ordinance it says, if there's any change in ownership. you need a zoning permit, and if you just said that, if there's a change in like. Whatever it is, and I thought the most objective way is the IBC, because if it's a retail or mercantile, it's the same use. Whether you're selling, you know, skateboards or you're selling shoes or sneakers, it's retail, it's the same.
Same
people are
nature of
coming
the
in.
business.
Right, so if you took that out, I don't think that's substantial.
I think like I said before, substantial is a loaded word. I'm not aware of any cases that are speaking specifically to that term.
Yeah.
I think the more changes that you make as a result of a public hearing that council wants in there, the greater likelihood you're getting into that category. Is one change or two changes gonna be enough? I don't know. One change, what if somebody came in and said, you know what, I want a whole new category of uses, let's put a whole new section in. Well, you know, that's one change, but it's
So
major.
you could have a magnitude
Yeah.
of change or the new number of changes.
Yeah, it could be a combination of anything.
But I mean, that's just a really simple one that's just glaring out there right now, you know, for me, and the non-conformance, those are like who there, so I don't know what.
It's only glaring though, if it debate, you know, that is a frustration depending on who's in charge of some codes, honestly. Because if everybody has it on their books and they're not really applying it that way. Then I can see where you're reading it to, you know, a particular take.
Yeah.
But. And you had that go both ways, so I can appreciate that.
But it's like, I rented different tenant, a tenant comes in for 6 months and the tenant leaves, it's the same similar business. It's insane to get a zoning permit for that. It's an allowed use and it's the same category that, you know, it's no IBC thing, you're not doing any changes to the building or inside. It's just a guy coming in and a new person coming out.
When's the last time we asked for that for you?
What's that?
When's the last time we asked?
Well, I haven't had that much turnover recently.
Okay.
But even if I do, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Because it's wrong.
So like
It's
with
fundamentally wrong.
this zoning, there could be so many different situational things that I think eventually we have to pass what we have and then make a list. And then maybe once a year, we tackle a zoning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or see problems as they come up, because the only
Yes.
reason I see that would take effect would be like if you take it someplace that was a retail and turn it into a restaurant. I mean, that's.
Well, and that
Well,
clearly you gotta
yeah,
apply for a permit.
Zoning, IBC, marked up all 9 yards.
Right.
And when it's in the absence of that, I think it's just an easy correction on there to say if it's not something that triggers a building code. You know, different classification or installation of some kind of improvements that require a building permit. You know what I mean? I just think it's a simple solution.
But it's not a problem if somebody asks you for it. It doesn't seem that like that's.
Well, I just hate doing something wrong, though, you know what I mean, just if it's. Do you? No, I understand. I do, you know, I mean, it's like another thing too, and I gotta bring up the laugh at these here. It's like, you know, the pixel police, it's like. If you look at the Supreme Court definition of the sign, you know, the town could say, where could the sign be, how big it can be, whatever. You don't even have digital displays allowed on Main Street where they should be. You know, we gotta step up a little bit. I mean, I won a case a long time ago for technology. You don't even have digital displays there. I think we should consider that. Lighten it down up a little bit. That was sort of the goal. How do you get a little growth?
Well, and some of that on Main Street, and unless I'm wrong, that might be regulated by PennDOT too. Because pixels and changing lights, I think they look at maybe disruption or distraction of traffic drivers. Okay, so that, you know, there could be some of that going on.
Question before, is there any desire from council to make any further amendments to this before we put it out for its 30-day advertisement?
Data center in there.
We had talked about that before, but there was no indication of whether you wanted to proceed with the data center in particular. Or,
You said you said you would write it up based on other ones you've done for other
I
municipalities.
don't remember if I did. Okay, then we're gonna have to put it in there.
The minutes, yeah.
But that didn't come back in any of the comments that were sent back to me that wasn't put in there by Kyle or whatever.
Bringing it up at planning,
I don't know.
so I don't know why it's not making it to you.
So I think this evening, it's either you guys want the section added, because that would probably be 50+ pages in addition to the current zoning. Or proceed with this and then do another hearing, but even if we proceed tonight, we're probably 2 months away from even a final version.
So
And we keep kicking this.
But moving forward with the understanding that we will get some of these other things in, shortly thereafter, because data centers are breathing down on it, as you can see.
You're allowed to do you could pass a resolution.
You
for
could do a cure.
moratorium And you get 6
Yeah,
Yeah,
on
'cause we at
that.
least have to get some guide rails set up where it's not a free for all, because right now, anybody can come into any of our industrial areas and put in whatever they want.
but there is a provision in there that says use is not otherwise regulated. That I think, as you said, it might be
Yeah,
special
it's a
steps. I'm
special-
not 100% sure.
It is.
Yeah.
Do you wanna speak on your application?
Well, what I would do if I were the council, I mean, it's hard because I try to be objective, but I don't wanna come off as not being objective. It's if you had a commitment that you would say, look, we passed this ordinance, we get it through. Bring some changes, we don't have to wait necessarily a year, and then, get them through and do that, that's legitimate. And as long as you guys are realizing that I think there's a lot of bad things in there, especially with the change of ownership and everything, as long as you're not trying to crucify somebody because. Jim's barber shop is now Joe's barber shop, and you're like, hey, you can get a zoning permit for the name change, for the ownership change. I think that's a good move. I would do a moratorium for a 6-month moratorium on the data that Matt can work on it. And that's what I would do. And were you talking about what I did, Lisa?
I think it's a big item, and I think council's aware of it.
Yeah.
But
So today, I applied for a special exception using the same provision. Historically. The first 30 years I did business in town with the previous solicitors. It was, if a use is not permitted, it's prohibited. And Ralph enforced that, Jack enforced that, that's not the law, because Matt's the one that helped make some law on that. If the use fits with another use, the zoning officer is supposed to be able to say, hey, okay, this is similar use, you can do it. The previous ordinance did not allow that, which was basically unconstitutional. The ordinance now that we have actually takes any discretion out of the zoning officer out of his hands, because if the use is not assigned, specifically assigned, it automatically goes into one of two categories, either otherwise not residential or otherwise residential. And immediately puts it in as a special exception in either IP or I think PMX, whichever the other one is. So the zoning officer has no discretion to use a use within a use. If the use is not there, immediately, if the use not assigned, it goes to the special exception. So I did that today for data center in an industrial zone. Which could basically, down at the Windsor where it's behind the wall, behind the fence, it could actually, in my opinion, take care of the town's responsibility to at least provide for that use. So you have an opportunity to make the same overlay. Where I already made an application. That's what I would do, and it's not because I did it, it's actually smart. So you have an opportunity.
But you would have the right to do it there by special exception.
I already have it,
Right.
it's already in.
Exactly.
So the town could use and piggyback on what I did. To put the overlay in the same location, because I can combine, I have like 29 acres. You have it, you're done. You put a moratorium, you do a data overlay. Nothing else can happen. I got the one in, I'm into the wire. Take the resolution, there's a 6-month. You got the 6-month moratorium. Matt does the overlay. You can use it where it's already gonna happen. And you're done.
But going forward, I mean, if there were any others, since we do not have them specifically enumerated in our zoning, it would go in one of the IP districts.
It would go under whatever categories they have,
Right.
non-residential use, otherwise not provided or commercial, and fall into wherever those districts are that can have those uses.
Right.
I don't even know off the top of my head where it categorizes them, but what that's designed to do is get away from that exact situation that we got in with the prior zoning ordinance. That's a catch-all provision. It's designed to avoid curative amendment challenges to the zoning ordinance and give site-specific relief to a developer for a project that may not otherwise make sense where they want to put it. But the law says if you don't provide for that use, if somebody submits an application and it's a curative amendment, you've got to allow it if they can prove their case. Well, that throws it into a different category because your defense of the curative amendment challenge is no, it's allowed by special exception.
Right.
Because everything is allowed in the zone.
If we're fine with, if these are coming in, that they're gonna have to be in the IP district either way, then we really don't need to do anything different. Unless we wanna have specifics to address those
The only-
in particular.
I mean, we should probably be looking at least emergency services. We should be looking at environmental impact studies.
Those could be
Sure.
required as conditions of approval.
Okay.
You know, right now, all you have is a very generalized standard. You know, whether you put it as conditional use or special exception, there's a legislative determination that it's allowed in
Right.
those zones. So you can't deny them in those zones, but what you can do is if you put an ordinance in, is that set standards in terms of what you must submit or the criteria that you must, the information that you must provide to have a complete application. And then you've got to meet all those standards in order to get your approval. So.
Okay. So it wouldn't necessarily need an overlay as much as we need specific regulations for
But,
special exception.
but if you're gonna put a specific provision in there about data centers, you would need to determine what zone they're gonna go in. Or you do it through an overlay. I see them done both ways. It may make sense to do it as an overlay, but then you'd have to create a separate section in the ordinance that allows data centers, okay, and sets whatever criteria. And there's where the devil lies in the details, because I see the ordinances go from relatively modest to extreme. And then when they go to extreme, they can be considered exclusionary,
Right.
okay? The problem that you're dealing with data centers, to be quite honest and cut through the dust here, is nobody knows the truth here. You see information out here that says they're Armageddon, and then there's information over here that says there's no problem. The problem is, where does the truth lie? Because we don't know. We don't know. There's no information out there. There's no fully operational data center in Pennsylvania yet. Salem Township has a couple of buildings up. I've heard there's a couple of buildings up in a facility in the southern part of Pennsylvania. That's it. So you're dealing with an unknown here.
Right.
I did know, because I am on the north side of Maine, that one of our supervisors went down to Virginia and he said, the technology is better and better, it's evolving, things are quieter, he goes, this is not a problem. So that's.
He was there in winter.
But then,
He was there in winter.
like a couple months ago, the last couple months.
Yeah.
And I just
So that
talked
was
to,
cool.
no, and I just
It
talked
also
to another
depends on
guy.
the size of what we're dealing with, right? There's data centers in the area that are very small.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's these big massive ones like in Salem, where they are destroying the wildlife. They
You're
are
talking thousands.
you're plowing over historic monuments. They're not,
Well, we don't have the acreage for that in town.
We don't.
So
True.
let's focus on what our issues would be. I would say, let's get this part approved and get the ball rolling. I agree with you, like, we need to make this priority number one. So what we need, do we need to wait till the next meeting then to have a vote on a moratorium then for the record?
So
I think so.
what
That's not on the agenda.
happens now is Matt's application goes off of the current zoning,
Mm-hmm.
so whatever we're doing isn't going to
Clean up.
touch his, yeah.
we're good.
But just so the new council members are aware of that, so, you know, Matt can be given direction for whatever you guys want in the future. But, you know, the email to planning commission, email to county planning, that was sent Friday with the maps. So if you guys want to change anything, we'll have to start the new 30-day window.
We did a
I-
quick browse.
With the
through
spirit of
the
what you guys have said,
So
you
far,
don't
it's
have to
been
do
okay.
that. There are a lot of defects. If you acknowledge that, hey, there are, we'll work on them a little bit later, just don't forget about it. That's all I'm saying. Keep moving through what you have, you get it. I would have Matt do a resolution for a moratorium. I think what I have presented in my special exception would satisfy a town providing the use of a data center. Here's the other glitch that you have in the ordinance, and it's not about a data center. Because right now you have any non-residential use that is not assigned only goes in the industrial. Selfishly, I would say, hey, that's great. But you might want something as a conditional use in some other areas where you want the thing downtown. What if somebody has a good business idea and you want it downtown? You have no provision for it right now, other than a variance, and they're not gonna be able to get a variance, a use variance, because they have all the other uses. You see what I'm saying that? So right now you have your catch-all, but you might not want
You
it.
have your catch-all that limits you to particular zones. If
Yeah.
you don't wanna allow, if you wanna allow that use in another zone, then you've got to come to the zoning hearing board for a variance.
But you can't
Which,
get it.
you can get it. The standard is a lot higher.
Right.
Realistically, do 99% of the people that come to the town zoning hearing board meet, better not be in the newspaper.
Right, they don't. They shouldn't get it.
99% of the people do not meet the 5 criteria under the municipality's planning code. But unless the room is packed with people who are screaming and yelling,
They're gonna
and
get
it's a reasonable project, it will get the approval.
Right.
So,
So do you live with that, or do you do like conditioning in some of the other areas? I'm just throwing it out.
well, conditional use is the reverse of a special, it's a special exception in a different category. It just means this body would hear it as opposed to the zoning hearing board. So that's, the standards would say.
I'm just throwing it out there, yes, just ideas.
Okay, well, we have a motion in a second, do we not?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on starting the 30-day period for notifying about the current amendments as presented? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed, thank you.
And I will work on getting some stuff for the future.
Thank you. All right, our next meeting will be July 27th.
I have one more.
You guys should vote on that.
I think we have to adjourn.
Yeah, but we can't do that because it's not on the agenda, we can do it at the next meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do I need to stick around?
No, all in favor, please say
You
aye.
done?
Yeah. Aye.
I have one more thing that I wanna, that August 22nd date. That they're gonna shut the street down at Bloomberg Theater on.
Yeah.
In regard to when Viola is gonna pave Market Street. August 22nd is also the date of Art Fest that Orin had set up for Market Street.
Right.
So I don't know if the two things.
We knew about that being at
We
the
knew
same
about-
time because Art Fest was in the daytime, this is in the evening.
That the closure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they both know about each other as far as the two events going on. I mean, they're,
Julia.
no.
That's a good point, is let's make sure.
Do they
Julie-
know?
So all utilities have to report to the chief
Yeah.
to close down a road or have.
So they'll get a permit, well, there's already 2 permits approved for that day, one on Center Street and one on Market Street. So they won't be able to close the road, they would have to wait or go sooner.
Yeah, but we should probably let them know so they can, if they're planning
Get around it.
around it, we don't wanna wait till they're planning on doing it that week and say, no, you can't.
We
I
can follow
can
them.
certainly let them know, and I will also say to see them paving on a Saturday will be a shock, but.
There's that thing.
Yeah.
But they could have the road torn up, you know.
Ripped up on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So we'll make note of it. We'll get all of them and let them know.
okay. All right, there's motion to return, to have a second,
Second.
all right, all in favor? Thank you.
The record, we've already been photographers, we know